Chapter 1. At this moment, even Lin Lan and the old lady behind her had looks of disbelief in their eyes. Just like Chen Dandan. They knew all about Zhou Donghuang's background. Zhou Donghuang had yet to develop his qi. But now, he had sent Hongyu, a level 1 adept of qi gathering, flying and even injured him. He had the complete upper hand. At this moment, they were even wondering if they were dreaming. If you dare move again, I'll kill you. Seeing Hongyu struggle to his feet, Zhou Donghuang grinned, revealing 2 rows of snow-white teeth. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, and Hongyu was so frightened that his legs felt like lead, not daring to move an inch. Chen Dandan. Zhou Donghuang's gaze fell on Chen Dandan again, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Sensing Zhou Donghuang's murderous intent towards Chen Dandan, Hongyu's eyes narrowed, and he immediately looked at Lin Lan, warning her in a low voice, "President Lin, control your son, don't make a mistake. Miss Dandan is the daughter-in-law approved by the patriarch of the Hong family." Hongyu's words were undoubtedly a threat to Lin Lan. "Donghuang, come back." Lin Lan's expression changed slightly, and she tried hard to suppress her anger as she looked at Zhou Donghuang with a pained expression. They were not blood-related, but why was this son so caring? Zhou Donghuang paused just as he was about to move, and he asked in a slightly hoarse voice, "Mother, are you still going to protect her now? This is the last time. From today onwards, I, Lin Lan, will sever all ties with Chen Dandan." Lin Lan said in a low voice. "All right, for mother's sake, I won't kill her today." Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, Chen Dandan heaved a sigh of relief. Just then, Zhou Donghuang murmured, "But if I let her leave in one piece today, I won't be happy." In the instant that Chen Dandan's expression changed, Zhou Donghuang had already moved and slapped Chen Dandan hard across the face. Smack! The crisp sound of a slap rang out. Half of Chen Dandan's face was slapped swollen, and she was sent flying, following in Hongyu's footsteps. In fact, she was even more miserable than Hongyu. She opened her mouth and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood along with broken teeth. Chen Dandan glared at Zhou Donghuang, her pretty face contorted and twisted. "Zhou Donghuang, how dare you hit me? You're looking for..." Meeting Zhou Donghuang's cold, murderous gaze, Chen Dandan forcefully swallowed the word "die." "Chen Dandan, everyone has to be responsible for the choices they make. I just hope you won't regret it in the future." Zhou Donghuang glanced coldly at Chen Dandan, his voice devoid of any emotion. "Of course I won't." Chen Dandan responded with a cold smile. She looked at Zhou Donghuang, suppressing the cold murderous intent in her eyes. While Chen Dandan was furious, she was also a little puzzled. How could this trash suddenly have such strength? Not only did he defeat Hongyu, he even dashed up to her and made a move on her, leaving her with no time to react at all. Of course, even if Zhou Donghuang had some strength now, Chen Dandan did not think much of it. The man she, Chen Dandan, was about to marry was the first young master of the Hong family of the prefecture capital, a man favored by the heavens in the country of Yunyang. How could this trash in front of her compare? "Guild Master Hong, let's go." Chen Dandan struggled to stand up and left with Hongyu. As she reached the door of the hall, she paused and turned back to look at Zhou Donghuang. "I only hope that you can withstand the fury of the Lin family of the prefecture capital. After all, I do not wish for the Magnolia Guild, which has accompanied me since I was a child, to disappear just like that." As she said this, the corner of Chen Dandan's mouth, which was still bleeding, turned up in a mocking smile. "If you don't get lost, believe it or not, I'll kill you." Zhou Donghuang's expression was cold as he stepped forward, gritting his teeth as he shouted. Chen Dandan's expression changed, and she turned and left in a panic with Hongyu. This little b***tch, why didn't I realize before that she was an ungrateful wretch? After Chen Dandan left with Hongyu, the old woman behind Lin Lan was so angry that her face was contorted. "Mother!" Under Lin Lan's shocked gaze, Zhou Donghuang turned and ran to her, hugging her tightly in his arms, not letting go for a long time. Only then did Lin Lan realize that unknowingly, her son had grown taller than her. Donghuang, I'm fine. Lin Lan thought that Zhou Donghuang was feeling sorry for her, but she did not know that Zhou Donghuang was emotional because he had not seen her for so long. 1,000 years had passed in an instant, and the world had changed. At this moment, only Zhou Donghuang knew how he felt. Miss, what should we do? The formula has been obtained by the Sunset Guild, which is equivalent to the Hong family obtaining it. Although it was Chen Dandan's betrayal, the Lin family will not consider this. They will only vent their anger on you and the Magnolia Guild. The old woman was so anxious that she stamped her foot. Hearing the old woman's words, Lin Lan's body trembled, and her eyes were filled with worry. This result was also within her expectations. Like the Hong family, the Lin family was also a large family in the prefecture capital. Lin Lan was a member of the Lin family, and had been sent to Qingshan town by the Lin family long ago to manage the guild, which was how the Magnolia Guild had been established. The Magnolia Guild was under the protection of the Lin family and enjoyed the resources of the Lin family. Every year, they had to hand over 90% of their profits to the Lin family. The remaining 10% of the profits belonged to Lin Lan, the guild master of the Magnolia Guild. This time, if the Lin family knew that the formula had been leaked by Lin Lan's Magnolia Guild, they would be furious. Feeling Lin Lan's trembling body, Zhou Donghuang released her and asked, "Mother, what formula did you lose?" In his previous life, although he knew that Chen Dandan had leaked the formula, he did not know what it was. But he did not care about the formula that the Lin family had produced. He had stood at the top of the universe in his previous life, and had seen all kinds of formulas. A formula produced by a small family in the tiny planet of Ziyun was no different from toilet paper in his eyes. "It is a specially made blood-staunching elixir," Lin Lan said with a serious expression. Lin Lan said with a solemn expression, "Moreover, the Lin family spent a great deal of money to invite the intermediate apothecary to serve the Lin family. He personally concocted this blood-staunching elixir. The blood-staunching elixir's effect is a whole 30% better than the blood-staunching elixir widely circulated in the market." The planet of Ziyun was a place where martial arts were prevalent, and the strong were respected. Adepts often fought with each other, so elixirs like blood-staunching elixirs were very popular. The more effective the blood-staunching elixir, the more popular it was. Blood-staunching elixir? Zhou Donghuang searched through the 1,000 years of memories in his mind and quickly found the formula for the lowest-grade blood-staunching elixir. Its effectiveness was double that of the blood-staunching elixir that was widely available on the market in the country of Yunyang. If I remove a few of the herbs, it should be able to reduce the effectiveness of the blood-staunching elixir. Zhou Donghuang did not intend to take the formula out directly, but he wanted to remove a few of the herbs in order to reduce the effectiveness of the lowest-grade blood-staunching elixir in his memory. Otherwise, if word of the blood-staunching elixir got out, it would definitely cause a sensation in the country of Yunyang. That would not be a good thing for him now. After thousands of years in his past life, he had seen far too many cases of people getting into trouble because of their wealth. "Mother, I'll go to the pharmacy warehouse now. If nothing goes wrong, I'll be able to formulate an even better blood-staunching elixir for you in 15 minutes. Zhou Donghuang looked at the worried Lin Lan and said bluntly, "When the time comes, if you bring the formula for the blood-staunching elixir back to the Lin family, not only will the Lin family not blame you, they will even reward you. Young master, at a time like this, don't joke like this." Before Lin Lan could speak, the old woman behind her had already spoken up with a bitter smile, thinking that Zhou Donghuang was joking. The old woman had been with Lin Lan since she was very young. Later, she had left the Lin family in the prefecture capital with Lin Lan and come to Qingshan town. She had been loyal to Lin Lan. Because of this, when Zhou Donghuang mentioned that he could formulate an even better blood-staunching elixir, he did not avoid her. "Donghuang, you don't have to comfort mother." Lin Lan also shook her head, not taking Zhou Donghuang's words to heart. Although this son of hers was not her biological son, she had watched him grow up. How could she not know what he was capable of? Mother, Granny Lien, I'm not joking, wait for me here, I'll give you the formula in 15 minutes. After saying this, Zhou Donghuang quickly left the living room and went to the pharmacy warehouse. The pharmacy warehouse was less than 200 meters from the living room, and he arrived in a moment. The guards of the Magnolia Guild guarding the pharmacy warehouse naturally did not dare to stop Zhou Donghuang, the young master of the Magnolia Guild, and allowed him to enter. Entering the pharmacy warehouse, Zhou Donghuang began to search for the herbs to formulate the blood-staunching elixir based on his memory. To formulate the elixir, he only needed to grind the elixir into powder, and with the ready-made tools in the pharmacy warehouse, Zhou Donghuang quickly finished formulating the blood-staunching elixir. Done. In less than 15 minutes, he had reduced the effectiveness of the lowest-grade blood-staunching elixir in his memory by 60%. Zhou Donghuang had also written out a formula for a blood-staunching elixir that was 40% more effective than the ones on the market. When Zhou Donghuang returned to the living room and handed the formula to Lin Lan, neither Lin Lan nor Granny Lien believed him. However, after Lin Lan had personally tried the blood-staunching elixir that Zhou Donghuang had formulated, she had no choice but to believe it. It's actually true? Lin Lan and Granny Lien looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. Donghuang. Lin Lan looked at Zhou Donghuang gravely. Tell me honestly, where did you get the formula for this blood-staunching elixir? The formula for this blood-staunching elixir was far more valuable than the one that Chen Dandan had leaked. After all, one was 40% more effective than the blood-staunching elixir on the market, while the other was only 30% more effective. Also, you haven't even developed qi, so how did you defeat Guild Master Hiyu of the Sunset Guild? For the first time, Lin Lan felt that she did not understand her son at all. Mother, I formulated this blood-staunching elixir myself. As for where I got the formula and how I defeated Hiyu, it's a long story, Zhou Donghuang said helplessly. Why don't you go back to the Lin family in the prefecture capital first and deliver this formula to them to make amends? I'll tell you when you get back, how about that? Now, all Zhou Donghuang wanted was for his mother to solve this problem as soon as possible so that she would not get into trouble like she had in his previous life. All right. I'll ask you when I get back. Lin Lan knew the seriousness of the matter, and after handing over some trivial matters of the guild to Granny Lien, she left Qingshan town on a fast horse and headed in the direction of the prefecture capital. Lin Lan was a level 1 adept of qi gathering, and no one knew that she had such a valuable formula on her, so Zhou Donghuang was not worried that something would happen to her on the way. If Chen Dandan knew that young master had produced an even better formula, she would be so angry that she would vomit blood. Granny Lien said with a smile after Lin Lan had left. Hearing Granny Lien mention Chen Dandan, a cold glint flashed in Zhou Donghuang's eyes, and his lips curled into a cold smile. I will make her live in regret and pain for the rest of her life. No rush, take your time playing with her. Chapter 2. Granny Lien, are there any 100-year-old blood ginseng in the guild's treasure storeroom? Zhou Donghuang asked Granny Lien. He had not seen any blood ginseng older than 20 years in the pharmacy storeroom. Therefore, he guessed that all blood ginseng older than 20 years should be stored in the Magnolia Guild's treasure storeroom. In the Magnolia Guild, precious items would be stored in a special treasure storeroom. In the entire Magnolia Guild, only Lin Lan and Granny Lien knew where the treasure storeroom was. It would be difficult for anyone else to even find it, let alone enter. 100-year-old blood ginseng? Young master, what do you want that for? It is not an ordinary herb, it is a rare herb of extraordinary value. Granny Lien was shocked by Zhou Donghuang's words. I need it urgently, do you have it? Zhou Donghuang asked solemnly. There was one a few years ago, but it was sold. Granny Lien shook her head. There are two 50-year-old blood ginseng, do you want it, young master? Under normal circumstances, Granny Lien would not have given even a 50-year-old blood ginseng to Zhou Donghuang, for fear that he would waste it. But now, seeing Zhou Donghuang produce a formula that was even better than the blood-staunching elixir formulated by the intermediate-level medicine master of the Lin family, she dared not doubt Zhou Donghuang's ability in this area. Only 50-year-old blood ginseng? Zhou Donghuang was a little disappointed. 50-year-old blood ginseng was much inferior to 100-year-old blood ginseng. But looking at the current situation, he could only make do. That's fine. Granny Lian, send those two 50-year-old blood ginseng to my room in a while. After informing Granny Lian, Zhou Donghuang went to the pharmacy storeroom to collect some other herbs that he needed before returning to his room. The most important thing now is to remove the seal in my body. In my previous life, the crazy Taoist was curious about the seal in my body. That was why he targeted me and brought me to Earth. Zhou Donghuang regarded Earth, where he had stayed for 100 years, as his home, and he had many old friends there. But the spirit energy on Earth was too thin, far inferior to that of Ziyun. He did not intend to return until he had succeeded in his training. As long as I break the seal, the crazy Taoist will not target me anymore. The blood ginseng that Zhou Donghuang had requested from Granny Lian was the main ingredient among the many herbs needed to break the seal in his body. Just now, before he returned to his room, he went to the pharmacy warehouse to get a pile of medicinal ingredients, which were auxiliary medicines. If he had a 100-year-old blood ginseng as the main ingredient, he would only need one night to completely undo the seal in his body. Now, with two 50-year-old blood ginseng as the main ingredient, it would take at least 3 or 4 days for the seal in his body to be undone. However, even if it's 3 or 4 days, it's still not too late. After all, the crazy Taoist won't show up until 10 days later. A few years ago, when Zhou Donghuang wanted to train his qi, Lin Lan had told him, in his body, there was a seal placed by his biological father that sealed the meridians in his body, so he could not cultivate qi and could not become a martial adept. As for who his father was, he had asked Lin Lan, but she did not know either. She had only said that he was her savior, and after saving her life, he had entrusted Zhou Donghuang to her. I don't know who your biological father is, but he said that he is not from Ziyun. He hoped that you would not practice and live a peaceful life as an ordinary person. These were Lin Lan's exact words. Although, at this time in his previous life, Zhou Donghuang did not know who his father was. However, in his previous life, many years after he left Earth, he found out what kind of person his father was based on the jade tablet that his father had left him. He also understood what had happened that year that caused his father to leave him alone on the planet of Ziyun. At that time, his biological parents had already passed away many years ago. At that moment, he could completely understand the difficulties that his father had faced. At some point, a jade token had appeared in Zhou Donghuang's hand. On the front of the jade token were carved 3 lifelike figures, a handsome young man, a beautiful young lady, and a baby lying in the arms of the lady. On the back, 3 names were carved. The name Zhou Donghuang was the largest, taking up almost half of the back of the jade token. On the other half of the jade token, 2 other names were carved, Zhou Haotian, Zhuge Jing. Father, mother, in my previous life, I could not save you in time. In this life, I will definitely save you in time, and I will not let anything happen to you. Looking at the jade token in his hand, Zhou Donghuang could not help but feel a stabbing pain in his heart as he thought about what had happened to his biological parents in his previous life. That was also one of his greatest regrets in his previous life. In his previous life, not long after he had left Earth, his father's primordial spirit had self-destructed, and his mother had followed closely behind. And Master, third senior sister, senior brother Qinghong, since I am back, I will not let the tragedy repeat itself. All the regrets in my previous life, in this life, I will not let them happen again. At this moment, Zhou Donghuang's gaze was filled with determination. In my previous life, the death of my mother, Lin Lan, was also a great regret in my heart. When the crazy culprit took me away, it was not even 7 days after my mother's death, and I was keeping vigil for her. This time, I have returned from 1,000 years in the future to help Mother resolve the matter of the formula being leaked, so she will not die of anger like she did in my previous life. Thinking that he had made up for this regret, Zhou Donghuang heaved a sigh of relief. In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had only spent 1,000 years to become invincible in the universe, and he had battled the strongest of the thousands of races in the universe. He had been recognized as an unparalleled talent in the world of practice. However, very few people knew that he had so many regrets in his heart that he did not dare to take another step forward in his practice. This was because if he took another step forward, he would have to face the tribulation of becoming a god. The tribulation of becoming a god was also known as the tribulation of God. Not only him, but many other strong practitioners of the same level of practice as him did not dare to take that step lightly. Once one took that step, he would attract the tribulation of God, and if he could not overcome it, he would die and turn into dust. Only by overcoming it could he ascend to the legendary divine realm and become a god, immortal and living as long as the heavens and the earth. No matter how big the universe was, it was ultimately just a mortal world. Only by ascending to the divine realm and becoming a god could one truly transcend the mortal world. I am not afraid of the tribulation of God in the beginning if I can overcome it with brute force, but the tribulation of demons of the heart is not something that can be overcome with brute force. I had too many regrets in my previous life, and I basically had no chance of overcoming the tribulation of demons of the heart. Zhou Donghuang was very clear on this point. The tribulation of demons of the heart targeted the weakest part of the person undergoing the tribulation. Because of this, he had never taken that step, because he had no confidence that he would be able to overcome the tribulation of demons of the heart. However, overcoming the tribulation successfully, transcending the mortal world and ascending to the divine realm had always been his dream. In this life, I not only want to make up for the regrets of my previous life, but I also want to leave no regrets behind. I, Zhou Donghuang, in this life, will ascend to the divine realm and make all the gods in the divine realm tremble in fear at the mention of my name. Zhou Donghuang's eyes suddenly shone with a strong sense of conviction. And this would also be the goal that he would strive for in this life. Young master. Granny Lian's voice came from outside the room, pulling Zhou Donghuang back from his drifting thoughts and causing his eyes to light up. Granny Lian's arrival meant that the 250-year-old blood ginseng had arrived. After opening the door and receiving the 250-year-old blood ginseng from Granny Lian, Zhou Donghuang stated his other request. Granny Lian, please get a servant girl to help me prepare a bathtub and bathwater. I am going to take a bath. All right. Granny Lian replied and went to get a servant girl. Zhou Donghuang intended to use the medicinal bath to break the seal in his body. The seal in his body had been placed by his biological father. And his father was a very powerful being, although not as powerful as he had been at his peak in his previous life, he was still a powerful figure among the thousands of races in the universe. To use brute force to break the seal that his father had placed, one would need to have a higher level of practice than his father. In the past, even the crazy Taoist, who could travel through the universe physically, had been unable to use brute force to break the seal in his body. After going to Earth, after some research, the crazy Taoist had found a way to use a medicinal bath to help him break the seal. This was the method that he was going to use now. In the beginning, the crazy Taoist had used many precious herbs, but to no avail. It was only later, after a complicated combination of very common herbs, that the seal in his body had been broken. Through this, it was not difficult to see that Zhou Donghuang's biological father was not a simple person to be able to set up such a strange seal. Next, I need to make a medicinal bath with a bunch of herbs, including the blood ginseng. While the servant girl was preparing the bath water, Zhou Donghuang spent some effort to make the blood ginseng and other herbs into 6 bottles of medicinal bath. When he had gone to the medicine storehouse earlier, he had conveniently brought out 6 empty bottles that had been left unused. A few servant girls had gone in and out for about a quarter of an hour. After preparing the bathtub and water for him, he poured 2 of the bottles of medicinal bath into the bathtub. When the medicinal bath and water had become one, he took off his clothes and entered the bathtub. Comfortable. Naked, he entered the bathtub and soaked in the warm water. Zhou Donghuang could not help but open his mouth and let out a breath of foul air. His face was full of satisfaction and he felt extremely comfortable. Unknowingly, he fell asleep. He had not been so relaxed in a very, very long time. When he woke up, it was already the early morning of the next day. I've actually finished absorbing it. Zhou Donghuang opened his eyes and looked at the water in the bathtub. He discovered that the water that had been muddied by the medicinal bath had become clear again. This also meant that his body had completely absorbed the medicinal bath. I can feel that the seal in my body has begun to loosen. In order to prevent my body from developing resistance, 2 bottles of medicinal bath a day is already the limit. I'll continue with another medicinal bath tomorrow night. In a flash, Zhou Donghuang used the techniques from his previous life to absorb the lingering spirit in the air and tried to practice. He discovered that the spirit did not dissipate as soon as it entered his body like before. Instead, it stayed in his body for a while before dissipating completely. This was also a sign that the seal in his body had loosened. At this rate, 3 days is enough to completely remove the seal in my body. At that time, I can begin to practice my qi and once again embark on the path of martial arts. Zhou Donghuang walked out of the bathtub with a satisfied expression. After putting on his pajamas, he casually tore off the page of the old calendar from yesterday and went to bed to continue sleeping. On this day, it was the 13th day of the 12th month of the year 1227 in the Ziyun era. Chapter 3. In the morning, Zhou Donghuang went out after eating the breakfast prepared by the servant girl. Although in his previous life, after leaving Earth, he had returned to the planet of Ziyun and Qingshan Town had been completely different at that time. Because of the seal in his body, he could not practice for the time being, and since he had nothing better to do, he decided to go out for a walk. Everything before me is really familiar, yet distant at the same time. Walking along the streets of Qingshan Town, the shops on both sides of the street, as well as the small stalls in front of the shops, seemed to overlap with Zhou Donghuang's memories from 1,000 years ago. More than 90% of the herbs in this medicine shop are from the Magnolia Guild. I've been here twice to deliver herbs. The iron ore used in this weapons shop is also from the Magnolia Guild. And this shop, along the way, Zhou Donghuang saw many shops that had a partnership with the Magnolia Guild, and he had personally delivered goods to some of the shops. Young Master Donghuang. Young Master Donghuang. Many people whom Zhou Donghuang could vaguely remember, but whose names he could not recall, came forward to greet Zhou Donghuang. In order to avoid awkwardness, Zhou Donghuang returned their smiles even though he did not remember who they were. Although Qingshan Town was just a small town, it was still very lively. On the streets, there was a steady stream of horses and carriages, and the clamor of hawking and haggling could be heard from the stalls on the side of the street. Zhou Donghuang had only been casually scanning the stalls by the side of the road, but when he saw what was on display at one of the stalls, he was stunned. That is, Zhou Donghuang stopped in his tracks, and his eyes narrowed as his heart skipped a beat. Spirit stone. What attracted Zhou Donghuang's attention was a lamp, and from the marks on it, it was obviously quite old. More accurately, what attracted Zhou Donghuang's attention was the white jade embedded in the lamp. It wasn't an ordinary jade stone, but a spirit stone. Although it was only an inferior grade spirit stone, Zhou Donghuang was pleasantly surprised to see it here. Spirit stones were special stones formed from ordinary stones that had accumulated a large amount of spirit energy in the world, and they contained a lot of spirit energy. Once one's cultivation reached a certain level, one's progress would be slow just by absorbing the spiritual qi of the world. However, with the assistance of spirit stones, one's progress would be rapid. On a small planet like the Ziyun planet, only the most powerful adepts had the ability to obtain spirit stones and use them to assist in their training. Zhou Donghuang had never imagined that he would be able to see spirit stones in Qingshan town. This was something that he did not even dare to dream of. Even if spirit stones had appeared in the country of Yunyang, he would find it inconceivable, let alone in Qingshan town. An inferior-grade spirit stone, if it contains sufficient spirit energy, in a short time, I can use it to break through to great consummation of the Qi gathering and become a great consummation adept with the strength of 9 oxen and 2 tigers. At this thought, Zhou Donghuang's eyes lit up. Great consummation of the Qi gathering was the highest stage of the Qi gathering. Adepts of great consummation of the Qi gathering could exert the strength of 9 oxen and 2 tigers once their Qi was released, and their power was unstoppable. The Qi gathering was divided into 9 levels of perfection. Level 1 of Qi gathering, Level 2 of Qi gathering, Level 3 of Qi gathering, all the way to Level 9 of Qi gathering. There was still petty consummation and great consummation of the Qi gathering. They corresponded to, the strength of 1 ox, the strength of 2 oxen, the strength of 3 oxen, the strength of 9 oxen. The strength of 9 oxen and 1 tiger, the strength of 9 oxen and 2 tigers. The strength of 1 ox was about 400 gene of force, and the strength of 1 tiger was about 1000 gene of force. The two could not be mentioned in the same breath. "Boss, how much is this lamp?" Zhou Donghuang walked to the stall in 2 or 3 steps and picked up the lamp inlaid with the inferior-grade spirit stone. As he reached out to feel the inferior-grade spirit stone, he asked the stall owner behind the stall. This stall was an antique stall. The stall owner was a shrewd-looking old man, and seeing that Zhou Donghuang had taken a liking to the lamp, he immediately grinned. "Young Master Donghuang, you are indeed the son of Guild Master Lin. You have good taste. With just one look, you have taken a liking to the best antique in my stall." As the son of Guild Master Lin Lan of the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Donghuang was known to all the shop owners and stall owners in Qingshan town. However, just as the stall owner finished speaking, he saw Zhou Donghuang put down the lamp in his hand with a look of disappointment on his face. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat, and an ominous feeling rose in his heart. "In the end, I was thinking too much. If this inferior-grade spirit stone still had spirit in it, anyone who practiced Qi, even if they had not attained level 1 of the gathered Qi, would be able to tell that it was extraordinary as long as they touched it. How could it have been my turn to discover it?" Just now, when Zhou Donghuang had touched the inferior-grade spirit stone, he had discovered that this inferior-grade spirit stone was just for show, and the spirit in it had long been depleted. Normally, when the spirit in a spirit stone was depleted, it would return to being an ordinary stone. However, the inferior-grade spirit stone inlaid in the lamp had been coated with some sort of transparent liquid, so its appearance did not change as the spirit in it was depleted. It's also because I don't have divine will now, otherwise, would not even need to feel it with my hand to know that it is a useless spirit stone. Zhou Donghuang shook his head, stood up, and left immediately, leaving behind a dumbfounded stall owner. He really could not understand. Why had this young master of the Magnolia Guild been so interested in his goods just a moment ago, and then abandoned them like a pair of worn-out shoes the next moment? Zhou Donghuang, who was a little disappointed, had only taken a few steps when he heard a mocking voice. "Hey! Isn't this Zhou Donghuang of the Magnolia Guild, young Master Zhou?" Zhou Donghuang recovered his wits and looked in the direction of the voice. With one glance, he saw a youth dressed in embroidered robes, about his age, standing in the distance, looking at him with a mocking expression. "You are Wang Feng?" The youth before him gradually overlapped with someone in Zhou Donghuang's memory. The first young master of the Wang family of Qingshan town, Wang Feng. Wang Feng, only 16 years old, had already mastered the strength of 400 gene of Qi, and was expected to master the strength of a bull before the age of 20, attain level 1 of the gathered Qi, and become an adept. He was a rare martial prodigy of the Wang family. In his previous life, whenever he went out alone and met Wang Feng, he would be bullied by Wang Feng, but Wang Feng did not dare to go overboard. After all, his mother was the guild master of the Magnolia Guild. And even though he suffered every time, he had never told his mother about this, because he did not want her to worry. Although Wang Feng had not attained level 1 of the gathered qi, he had a certain level of attainment in the practice of qi, and in terms of ability, he had already surpassed many adults. In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had been restricted by the seal in his body and had been unable to practice qi, so he was naturally no match for Wang Feng. What? Our young master Zhou doesn't even recognize me? Wang Feng grinned. It looks like Chen Dandan's betrayal was a great blow to you, to the point that you don't even recognize me. Come to think of it, your Magnolia Guild will be finished in a few days, and without this background, what difference is there between you, Zhou Donghuang, and a useless person? Wang Feng's words shocked many passers-by. The Magnolia Guild will be finished in a few days? Is that true? This is first young master Wang Feng of the Wang family of Qingshan town. Since he said it, it must be true. Young master Wang Feng, did you receive some news? A group of passers-by looked curiously at Wang Feng. Everyone, I'm afraid you don't know, the adopted daughter of the guild master of the Magnolia Guild, Chen Dandan, leaked the formula for the blood-staunching elixir given to the Magnolia Guild by the Lin family of the prefecture capital to the Sunset Guild. Faced with the questions of the passers-by, Wang Feng spoke with assurance. The formula for the blood-staunching elixir is not simple. The blood-staunching elixir produced is 30% more effective than ordinary blood-staunching elixirs on the market. Once it appears in Qingshan town, it will be enough to monopolize the high-end market for blood-staunching elixirs in Qingshan town. It is said that the Lin family of the prefecture capital paid a great price to invite an intermediate-level medicine master of the Lin family to develop this formula. The Magnolia Guild leaked this formula. Do you think the Lin family of the prefecture capital will let Lin Lan off? How could the Magnolia Guild not be finished? As he spoke, a brilliant smile appeared on Wang Feng's face, as if he could not wait for the Magnolia Guild to close down immediately. He had overheard this news through the conversation between his father and an elder of the Wang family when he passed by the main hall of the Wang family. If that's really the case, the Magnolia Guild is doomed. I never thought that Chen Dandan would be so ungrateful. I heard that she used to be an orphan living on the streets, and it was President Lin Lan who kindly adopted her. That's why she's here today. President Lin Lan has really raised an ingrate. After hearing Wang Feng's words, the group of passers-by was filled with righteous indignation and felt indignant for Lin Lan. You're quite well informed. Zhou Donghuang glanced at Wang Feng and said calmly, however, whether the Magnolia Guild is finished or not is not up to you, Wang Feng. With that, Zhou Donghuang continued walking forward, his gaze retracting from Wang Feng, completely ignoring him. In his previous life, Wang Feng often bullied him. But now, in his eyes, it was just child's play. If he were to get angry at Wang Feng over this, he would have lived all these years in vain. However, Zhou Donghuang wanted to leave, but Wang Feng obviously did not intend to let him go. As he passed by, Wang Feng stretched out his hand to block his way. Zhou Donghuang, did I say you could leave? Wang Feng, I'll give you one chance, immediately, take your hand back. Zhou Donghuang's eyes narrowed, and a cold light flashed in them. His originally calm voice now revealed a hint of coldness. Even a clay figurine had its limits. If this Wang Feng continued to pester him, he did not mind teaching him a lesson that would leave a deep impression. I won't take it back. I want to see what a piece of trash like you can do to me. Wang Feng smiled, a very bright smile. Zhou Donghuang, a piece of trash who had not even developed qi, a piece of trash who he had toyed with like a toy, dared to threaten him? Not taking it back. Seeing that Wang Feng did not take his words to heart, Zhou Donghuang smiled coldly. In that case, I'll help you take it back. Chapter 4. Whoosh. Without waiting for Wang Feng to react, Zhou Donghuang had already moved forward like lightning, grabbing Wang Feng's wrist with one hand and his shoulder with the other. In the next moment, Zhou Donghuang's muscles exploded with all the strength he could muster, pouring it into his hands that were grabbing Wang Feng's wrist and shoulder. Ka-cha! 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 A series of crisp sounds of bones breaking rang out, and the crowd of onlookers could not help but feel their scalps go numb and their hair stand on end. Ah! As the victim, Wang Feng let out a blood-curdling screech like a pig being slaughtered, and immediately fainted. He fainted just like that? Zhou Donghuang raised an eyebrow and said disdainfully, useless. As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang stepped over Wang Feng's unconscious body and left, leaving behind an enigmatic silhouette for the onlookers to see. Wang Feng lay unconscious on the street, one of his arms twisted into a knot as if it had no bones. Just now, Zhou Donghuang's move was like twisting a fried dough twist, forcefully tying the entire arm that Wang Feng had used to block him into a knot. In this process, the bones in Wang Feng's arm had been completely broken and shattered by Zhou Donghuang's strength, and it was completely crippled. At least, on the planet of Ziyun, there was no way to repair Wang Feng's broken arm. Hiss! 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 Only when Zhou Donghuang's silhouette disappeared did the crowd of onlookers regain their senses, and they all gasped. This young Master Donghuang of the Magnolia Guild has such power? My God! To be able to twist the arm of the Wang clan's first young master like this, just how strong must he be? Didn't they say that he was a martial invalid who could not cultivate qi? Is this something that a martial invalid can do? Looking at Wang Feng's twisted arm lying on the ground, many onlookers felt a chill run up their spines, and their bodies trembled. Wang Feng isn't just the most beloved son of the Wang clan's clan head, he's also the most beloved grandson of the Wang clan's old clan head. For him to be crippled just like that, there's no way the Wang clan will let this matter rest. In the past, the Wang family might have been wary of the Magnolia Guild, but now, the Magnolia Guild is in a precarious situation and could collapse at any time. They might not be able to protect Zhou Donghuang. Whether the Magnolia Guild will collapse is still uncertain. At present, it is only Wang Feng's side of the story. All I know is that the Wang clan is destined to not be peaceful today. It was just as many people had guessed. As Wang Feng was brought back to the Wang family residence, the atmosphere in the Wang family residence became heavy and somber. Second uncle, is there really no way to cure my arm? In the spacious room, Wang Feng, who had just woken up, was shocked to learn that his family had unanimously decided to chop off his right arm. Wang Feng's second uncle, Bamboo Crane Wang, was an inferior-level medicine master. Faced with Wang Feng's longing gaze, he shook his head lightly. Feng, if your arm was only broken, even if it couldn't be completely healed, I was confident that I could heal you by 80 to 90%. But now, the bones in your entire arm have been crushed and twisted. Even if a superior-level medicine master were here, I'm afraid he would be powerless, much less an inferior-level medicine master. Bamboo Crane Wang sighed. Moreover, if you don't chop off your arm in time, the blood will flow back and affect the rest of your body. No, no, no. Wang Feng was so agitated that he jumped off the bed. He wanted to escape like a madman, unwilling to have an arm chopped off. I don't want to. I don't want to. Bang! In the end, it was Red Crane Wang, the chief of the Wang family, who knocked his son out with a single blow. Second brother, let's begin. From the beginning to the end, Red Crane Wang's expression was extremely ugly. His son was the most talented direct descendant of the Wang family in 100 years. He had a bright future and was expected to lead the Wang family to greater heights. And now, his right arm was crippled, which meant that his son's future was completely ruined. Zhou Donghuang. Red Crane Wang walked out of the room and stared in the direction of the Magnolia Guild, his eyes full of murderous intent. You crippled my son's arm, I, Red Crane Wang, will take your life. After a while, Bamboo Crane Wang walked out of the room. Big brother, Feng Er's injury has been treated. What do you intend to do about this? Do you want to go to the Magnolia Guild directly and denounce them, or do you want to wait for father to return? Bamboo Crane Wang asked Red Crane Wang. Let's wait for father to return first. If we go now, we are not afraid of Lin Lan, but we have to be afraid of the elusive level 2 adept of Qi gathering from the Magnolia Guild. Red Crane Wang said gravely. Both he and his second brother were only level 1 adepts of Qi gathering. In the Wang family, there was only one level 2 adept, and that was his father, the previous chief of the Wang family. Moreover, when father returns, the Sunset Guild will probably have lost the support of the Lin family of the prefecture capital. If nothing unexpected happens, Lin Lan will be expelled from the Lin family. At that time, the level 2 adept of Qi gathering from the Magnolia Guild will definitely return to the Lin family. A mere Lin Lan won't be able to protect that little brute. As he spoke, Red Crane Wang's voice became colder. Big brother, isn't that Zhou Donghuang a good-for-nothing who can't even practice Qi? To injure Feng like that, even if it was a sneak attack, his hands would have to have at least 300 or 400 gene of strength. Bamboo Crane Wang was puzzled. Most likely, Lin Lan used some rare treasure on him to increase his physical strength, so there is nothing to worry about. Red Crane Wang said indifferently. Let's go back. After strolling around Qingshan town for the entire morning, Zhou Donghuang returned to the Magnolia Guild at noon. As he passed by the drawing room, Zhou Donghuang heard Granny Lian's pleading voice. Third master, I really can't return this money to you for now. When my mistress returns, this money will still have to be invested in making the blood-staunching elixir. Who in Qingshan town doesn't know the current situation of the Magnolia Guild? Your formula has been leaked to the Sunset Guild, which means that the blood-staunching elixir produced by the Magnolia Guild will no longer be able to monopolize the market, and it will be very difficult to earn high profits. A voice full of vigor followed. Furthermore, as far as I know, that formula belongs to the Lin family of the prefecture capital. Now that such a precious formula has been leaked, the Lin family will not let Guild Master Lin off lightly. In my opinion, the Magnolia Guild will not survive for long. Now, if I don't get my money back, in a few days, I'm afraid it will really be for naught. Hearing this, Zhou Donghuang raised his eyebrows. Although it was a long time ago, he still remembered it clearly. After the Magnolia Guild gave the Lin family 90% of their monthly profits, if they wanted to expand their business further, they would need to borrow money from outside. Of course, the high interest rate for borrowing money from outside was considered a normal expense of the Magnolia Guild, and this was permitted by the Lin family. The Lin family would not give them money directly. Not just the Magnolia Guild, but the other guilds under the Lin family were the same. I remember, although the Magnolia Guild borrows money from outside, it usually only borrows money from one person. That person is the owner of Yunxian Restaurant, the richest man in Qingshan town, Zhao San. Just now, Granny Lian called him Lord San. It seems that he is Zhao San. As he pondered, Zhou Donghuang walked into the drawing room. As soon as he entered, he saw a middle-aged man sitting cross-legged on an armchair at the side of the room, playing with 2 pearls in his right hand that were obviously of great value. The middle-aged man was dressed in a luxurious robe, his face as smooth as jade, and he had a small mustache on his chin. His eyes shone with shrewdness. It really is Zhao San. Although he had been to Zhao San's Yunxian restaurant a few times in his previous life, he had never seen the owner, because Zhao San rarely showed himself. However, he had never seen Zhao San in person, but he had seen a portrait of him, because a portrait of Zhao San had hung on the wall of the Great Hall on the first floor of Yunxian restaurant. In my memory, this Zhao San is not only a level 2 adept of Qi gathering, but he seems to be a direct descendant of the governor's household of the prefecture capital, and he has a powerful background. The distant memories slowly unfolded in Zhou Donghuang's mind. Young master. Seeing Zhou Donghuang enter, Granny Lien hurriedly greeted him and then looked at Zhao San, who was sitting cross-legged at the side of the drawing room. Lord San, we have successfully overcome this crisis. I can assure you that nothing will happen to the Magnolia Guild. Oh? Zhao San looked at Granny Lien with interest. Then I would like to hear how the Magnolia Guild will overcome this crisis. If we can really overcome this crisis, my money will continue to be with the Magnolia Guild. Zhao San picked up the teacup on the table and took a sip, then slowly put it down, waiting for Granny Lien to speak. Just as Granny Lien was about to reveal the matter of the new formula for the blood-staunching elixir, Zhou Donghuang spoke first. Zhao San, if I am not wrong, you were once a level 4 adept of qi gathering? As Zhou Donghuang spoke, his deep gaze fell upon Zhao San. When Zhou Donghuang entered, Zhao San had only glanced at him casually, not even looking at him. But now, hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, he looked at Zhou Donghuang in disbelief. You, how did you know? Apart from himself, there was only one other person who knew that he had broken through to level 4 of qi gathering. That person was his elder brother. He had not told anyone about this, and his elder brother could not possibly have spread the news. It's not hard to tell, Zhou Donghuang said calmly. It's a pity that when I broke through to level 4 of qi gathering, I went berserk. Not only did I not successfully attain level 4 of qi gathering, but I regressed back to level 2 of qi gathering, and there is no way for me to regain my previous level 3 of qi gathering. I'm not wrong, right? Just now, when he had first seen Zhao San, Zhou Donghuang had noticed something was wrong with his slightly bulging temples. With his foresight, which had stood at the pinnacle of the universe in his previous life, it was not difficult for him to see what was wrong with Zhao San's body. Chapter 5. Just as Zhou Donghuang finished speaking, Zhao San stood up from his armchair and stared at Zhou Donghuang gravely. You are the son of Guild Master Lin who is unable to practice qi, Zhou Donghuang? He had guessed Zhou Donghuang's identity when Granny Lien had addressed Zhou Donghuang as young master. How about it? Do you want to regain level 3 of qi gathering? No. I should ask you, do you want to regain level 4 of qi gathering? Zhou Donghuang asked unhurriedly as he looked at Zhao San meaningfully. You have a way? Zhao San's eyes widened as he stared at Zhou Donghuang in disbelief, but there was a hint of doubt in his eyes. From what I know, you can't even cultivate qi, how can you help me? Why? You don't even want to try? Zhou Donghuang asked calmly, his expression calm. If you can really help me regain level 4 of qi gathering, no. Even if you can only help me regain level 3 of qi gathering, I will give you all the money I have in the Magnolia Guild. Besides that, I will also give you Yunxian restaurant. Zhao San said solemnly, making a heavy promise. Yunxian restaurant? Zhou Donghuang had not expected Zhao San to make such a heavy promise. After all, Yunxian restaurant was the largest and best restaurant in Qingshan town, and it had an endless stream of customers every day. It was the most profitable business in Qingshan town, second to none. Zhao San had become the richest man in Qingshan town because of the profits that Yunxian restaurant brought him, and any other business was just a pittance. Compared to the value of Yunxian restaurant, the money Zhao San had placed in the Magnolia Guild was but a drop in the bucket. Young master. Hearing Zhao San's words, Granny Lien took a deep breath and looked at Zhou Donghuang excitedly. If her young master could really cure Zhao San, then he would have really struck it rich. In the past, if Zhou Donghuang had said he could cure Zhao San of his chronic illness, she would have advised him not to fool around. But ever since she had seen Zhou Donghuang defeat Guild Master Hongyu of the Sunset Guild without practicing qi, and witnessed Zhou Donghuang produce a blood-staunching elixir that was better than the one made by the intermediate medicine master of the Lin family, she no longer dared to doubt Zhou Donghuang's ability. Zhao San had thought that Zhou Donghuang would be so excited that he would lose his composure after making such a huge promise. He did not expect Zhou Donghuang to remain calm, as if he would be able to maintain his composure even if Mount Tai were to collapse in front of him. In that instant, Zhao San's opinion of Zhou Donghuang rose a few notches. President Lin's son is not simple. Granny Lien, help us prepare a quiet room. Zhou Donghuang looked at Granny Lien and instructed. Granny Lien immediately went to make the arrangements, and after that, she watched as Zhou Donghuang and Zhao San entered the quiet chamber together. Granny Lien personally stood guard outside the door, not allowing anyone to come near and disturb the two. However, as she stood guard outside the door, Granny Lien's face was filled with apprehension. She was unsure if Zhou Donghuang could really cure Zhao San's illness. If he could not be cured, then Zhao San might fly into a rage out of humiliation and demand back the money he had deposited with the Magnolia Guild. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. About an hour later, Granny Lien heard Zhao San's hearty laughter coming from the quiet room. It was as if he had instantly swept away the gloom he had been suppressing for many years. It's done. Granny Lien's eyes lit up. Inside the quiet room. After laughing for a while, Zhao San gradually calmed down and bowed to Zhou Donghuang, whose clothes were drenched in sweat. He said earnestly, "Young Master Zhou, Zhao San will never forget your kindness in giving me a new lease on life. I have already cleared the meridians in your body that were blocked by your qi deviation. Go back and practice for 2 or 3 days, and you will officially attain level 4 of qi gathering." Zhou Donghuang narrowed his eyes, his body swaying as he said weakly, "If there's nothing else, you..." Before he could finish, Zhou Donghuang fainted from exhaustion. "Young Master Zhou." Zhao San's expression changed, but he heaved a sigh of relief after confirming that Zhou Donghuang was fine and had only fainted from exhaustion. "Young Master." Just then, Granny Lien also heard that something was wrong and burst through the door. "Don't worry. Young Master Zhou, because you helped me clear my meridians, you overexerted yourself and fainted. You will be fine after a short rest. When young Master Zhou wakes up, please inform young Master Zhou that I, Zhao San, will visit you another day to express my gratitude." After informing Granny Lien, Zhao San left. Now, Zhao San walked like the wind. This was because his level of practice had been restored to level 3 of qi gathering, and if he could accumulate qi for another 2 or 3 days, he would be able to attain level 4 of qi gathering and become a level 4 adept with the strength of 4 bulls. Now, Zhao San was anxious to return to practice. Of course, he was anxious to leave the Magnolia Guild and return to practice after confirming that Zhou Donghuang was fine. When Zhou Donghuang woke up, it was already evening. "Young Master, you're awake." Granny Lien had been standing guard by Zhou Donghuang's bedside, and she heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that Zhou Donghuang was awake. "Granny Lien, I'm hungry." Zhou Donghuang rubbed his empty stomach as he spoke to Granny Lien. "Good. I'll get a servant girl to prepare some food for you." Granny Lien immediately left. "There's no qi in my body, and I fainted from exhaustion after just performing a massage on Zhao San's acupuncture points. I'm really weak now." After Granny Lien left, Zhou Donghuang smiled bitterly. Zhao San's problem was not serious, and Zhou Donghuang had completely resolved it by performing a massage on Zhao San's acupuncture points. Of course, Zhou Donghuang had helped Zhao San because, from what he remembered from his previous life, Zhao San was a person who could distinguish between kindness and hatred, and was extremely particular. Otherwise, if it had been an ingrate, Zhou Donghuang would not have had the time to help him. "Young Master," before Zhao San of Yunxian Restaurant left, he asked me to tell you that he will come back another day to thank you. Granny Lien returned to Zhou Donghuang's room after instructing a servant girl to prepare some food. "Young Master, did you really cure his chronic illness?" Even now, Granny Lien still could not believe it. That was Zhao San of Yunxian Restaurant, known in Qingshan town as someone who could see through the heavens. If it had been an ordinary chronic illness, he would have been cured long ago, and there would have been no need for her young master to treat him. Zhou Donghuang nodded. I used a special technique to help him unclog the meridians that were blocked by his qi deviation, allowing his level of practice to return to level 3 of the gathered qi. Based on his current condition, he only needs 2 or 3 days of practice before he can smoothly attain level 4 of the gathered qi and become a level 4 adept. Granny Lian, that Xiaofan has a strong background. Rumor has it that he is a direct descendant of the governor's household of the prefecture capital. In Zhou Donghuang's opinion, Granny Lian would definitely know more about these matters than he did. This was because Granny Lian had been with the Lin family of the prefecture capital for a long time, and had only come to Qingshan town with his mother. I've only heard this rumor. Granny Lian shook her head. However, it is most likely true, otherwise, he would not have been able to keep Yunxian restaurant in Qingshan town open for so many years. Yunxian restaurant is a profitable business in Qingshan town, and even the Magnolia Guild and the Sunset Guild combined do not earn as much as it does. Moreover, unlike the Magnolia Guild and the Sunset Guild, Yunxian restaurant does not have to hand over 90% of their profits to the families behind them. It is Zhao San's personal business, and all the money he earns belongs to him. Although Yunxian restaurant was only a restaurant in Qingshan town, its daily profits were enough to attract the attention of the large families of the prefecture capital. However, from the day Yunxian restaurant opened for business until today, no one had dared to have any designs on it. Therefore, it was not difficult to guess, the owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhao San, was not a simple character. Granny Lian, what level would a level 4 adept be in the prefecture capital? Zhou Donghuang asked Granny Lian. In his memory, the strongest people in Qingshan town were the few level 2 adepts of qi gathering. The owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhao San. The elderly members of the local Wang family and a few other families. The Magnolia Guild and the Sunset Guild each had a level 2 adept holding the fort. Young master, in the prefecture capital, there is only one level 5 adept of qi gathering, and that is the governor of the governor's household. In the Lin family of the prefecture capital that supports the Magnolia Guild, the strongest are only 3 level 4 adepts. Therefore, a level 4 adept would be considered a strong man even in the prefecture capital, and would be able to support a preeminent family. Granny Lian said. The power in the country of Yunyang was basically dominated by the families. The imperial family was the largest family. Below them was the royal household. Below them were the great barons, the grand families, the preeminent families, and the lesser families. The families in Qingshan town that had level 2 adepts, including the Wang family, could barely be considered lesser families. If Xiao San is really a direct descendant of the governor's household of the prefecture capital, now that he has recovered his level of practice, he will definitely return to the governor's household. The governor's household would not allow a level 4 adept to stay in a small place like Qingshan town. Granny Lian said. Zhou Donghuang and Granny Lian chatted for a while, and a few servant girls brought in food. Zhou Donghuang, who had been starving for a long time, wolfed down all the food and got Granny Lian to instruct the servant girls to prepare a bathtub and bath water. Today was his second day in the medicinal bath to further break the seal in his body. Comfortable. Soaking in the bathtub, Zhou Donghuang quickly fell asleep and did not wake up until the next morning. After discovering that the medicinal liquid in the bathtub had been absorbed by his body, Zhou Donghuang put on his clothes, took off the old calendar, and returned to bed. At this moment, it was already a new day. In the Ziyun era, it was now the 14th day of the 12th month of the year 1227. The seal in my body has loosened even more. I'll do it again tonight, and tomorrow morning will be enough to completely break the seal in my body. At that time, I can start practicing my qi and embark on the path of martial arts again. Even with 1,000 years of memories from his previous life, Zhou Donghuang could not help but feel excited at this thought. He was so excited that he did not feel the least bit sleepy. Chapter 6. Although the qi gathering stage is only the beginning of the martial way, I still need to build a good foundation. This way, the road ahead will be easier. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Zhou Donghuang murmured to himself, in my previous life, because I was in the qi gathering stage, I practiced the techniques that were common on the planet of Ziyun, so my foundation was very average. Under those circumstances, even though I had many miraculous encounters and fought with the prodigies of the great galactic clans and supreme sects of the same level, I was barely able to win. In this life, I must choose the best and most suitable cultivation method for me. In Zhou Donghuang's 1,000 years of memories, there were many different types of techniques, enough to dazzle him. The 1,000-star sword technique is the best swordsmanship technique in the universe. If I start practicing this technique at the qi gathering stage, even if I were to fight with the prodigies of the great galactic clans and supreme sects of the same level, I would still be invincible. The 1,000-star sword technique was obtained by Zhou Donghuang from the space ring of an enemy he had killed in his previous life. It was the ultimate technique of the 1,000-star sword sect. That enemy was the prodigy of the 1,000-star sword sect. If Zhou Donghuang had not had a breakthrough in his level of practice, it would have been difficult for him to kill his enemy. The Fiery Thunder Refinement Regimen is a top-notch body refinement cultivation technique in the universe. It was once the ultimate cultivation technique of a supreme sect. However, that supreme sect was too good at stirring up trouble and was besieged by several large races and supreme sects in the star field. After the sect was annihilated, it disappeared in the long river of history. Although the great galactic clans and supreme sects stood at the peak of the universe, they were not invincible. This was because, although there were not many of them, there were still quite a few of them. Once they incurred the wrath of the masses, it would be difficult to continue. Practicing this fiery thunder training regimen, even if I encounter the prodigies of the great galactic clans and supreme sects who practice the 1,000-star sword technique or other non-body tempering techniques, as long as I can get close to them, I can easily defeat them. Compared to the 1,000-star sword technique, Zhou Donghuang favored the fiery thunder training regimen more. Back then, it was precisely because the fiery thunder refinement technique was so powerful that the supreme sect that possessed it became extremely arrogant. In the end, they made too many enemies and brought about the destruction of their sect. The fiery thunder training regimen was something Zhou Donghuang had obtained by chance in his previous life. Like the 1,000-star sword technique, he had memorized every single word of it. The Records of Sublime Unruffled is an extremely rare top-notch cultivation technique in the universe that focuses on divine sense. In the later stages, it focuses on soul attack. When a person who cultivates the Records of Sublime Unruffled faces a person who cultivates the Fiery Thunder Refinement regimen of the same level, as long as they don't let the opponent get close to them in the beginning, they can use their divine sense to attack the opponent's primordial spirit after increasing the distance. If they find an opportunity, they can even directly destroy the opponent's primordial spirit. However, the requirements to cultivate the supreme unfeeling record are extremely harsh. One must forget all emotions and become an emotionless person. Only in this way would one be able to maintain a firm will and cultivate an invincible divine sense. The supreme unfeeling record was a cultivation technique that Zhou Donghuang had obtained from an ancient mystery realm. It was also rumored to have the highest chance of becoming a god. An emotionless person could completely disregard the inner demons of the godly tribulation. As for the other techniques of the godly tribulation, those who cultivated the supreme unfeeling record were naturally not afraid of them. Zhou Donghuang also memorized the contents of the supreme unfeeling record. These three techniques were all top-notch in the universe. As for other techniques, Zhou Donghuang also remembered quite a few, but they were not as good as these three techniques. Even the best techniques that he had cultivated in his previous life could not compare to these three techniques. Why don't I choose between the 1,000-star sword technique and the fiery thunder refinement regimen to cultivate? Zhou Donghuang muttered to himself, his heart wavering. Although the supreme unfeeling record was better than the 1,000-star sword technique and the fiery thunder refinement regimen, he had no interest in it. What was the point of living for an emotionless person? Why don't I choose the fiery thunder refinement regimen? But the fiery thunder refinement regimen is only good at close combat. I'm at a disadvantage in long-range combat. It's fine if I meet someone who is as fast as me or not as fast as me, but if I meet someone who is faster than me, even if the other party is weaker than me, I can do nothing about it. I can only watch as the other party escapes my sight. The thousand-star sword technique is suitable for both close and long-range combat, but it completely neglects defense. It's strong in attack and fast in speed, but its weakness is also obvious. This is far inferior to the Fiery Thunder Refinement Regimen. In my previous life, the techniques that I practiced were very mixed, so I was good at all aspects, but they were also very mediocre. If not for the near-death experiences that I had that allowed me to be reborn, I would not have been able to fight against the prodigies of the supreme sects in the galaxy. On the path of practice, the techniques could be changed at any time. However, if one did not use the techniques that he had practiced in the past to build his foundation, the techniques that he practiced in the future would always have some flaws. In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had faced such a problem. However, even though he knew of these problems, he could not solve them. He could not possibly destroy his level of practice, become a normal person, and start all over again, could he? That was not realistic. Precisely because he had been at such a disadvantage in his previous life, in this life, Zhou Donghuang wanted to find a technique that was most suitable for him and practice it until the end. Even if he had to settle for the next best thing, he had to build a strong foundation. Only in this way would his future path be smoother. Oh, right, how could I have forgotten about this? The Lord of the Four Supremes. In his previous life, on Kunlun Mountain on Earth, when Zhou Donghuang had discovered the time-space matrix, he had also discovered a jade scroll that recorded the technique. Recorded in it was a cultivation technique known as the Lord of the Four Supremes method. The Four Supremes, in the technique's name, referred to the four ancient mythological beasts, the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise. After memorizing the Lord of the Four Supremes, he had studied the time-space matrix. In the process of studying the time-space matrix, he had been brought back to 1,000 years ago by the power of the time-space matrix. However, the Lord of the Four Supremes technique can only be cultivated to the primordial divinity stage at most, Duan Ling Tian thought to himself. Thinking of the greatest flaw of the Lord of the Four Supremes, Zhou Donghuang could not help but frown. Among the thousands of races in the universe, the cultivation of martial arts was divided into 10 major realms. They were Qi Gathering, Khanate, Primal Core, Dharma, Primordial Soul, Divine Transformation, Divine Separation, Divine Power, Heavenly Being, and Deity Tribulation. In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had practiced to the Heavenly Being stage, and he had been at the pinnacle of the Heavenly Being stage. In his previous life, when Zhou Donghuang had practiced to the pinnacle of the Heavenly Being stage, he had been able to destroy any star in the universe with a wave of his hand, and with a single thought, he had been able to cover a vast and boundless galaxy. His indestructible primordial soul could even leave his physical body and travel the entire universe. The Lord of the Four Supremes is extremely difficult to practice, especially after the Khanate stage. It is at least 3 times more difficult to practice than the average person. However, it's fine even if it's difficult. After all, hard work will always be rewarded. After cultivating the Lord of the Four Supremes and reaching the Xiantian realm, I'll be able to fight against a group of people at the same cultivation level as me with just my own strength. What is most difficult to accept is the greatest flaw of this technique. This technique can only be practiced to the primordial soul stage at most. In the future, I will have to rely on my own practice. Zhou Donghuang felt a headache coming on. In terms of building a foundation, the Lord of the Four Supremes was definitely the best. From the Khanate stage to the Primal Core stage, the Lord of the Four Supremes had to condense 4 Primal Cores to be considered to have truly entered the Primal Core stage. Most adepts who practiced the Lord of the Four Supremes only needed to condense 1 Primal Core to be considered to have entered the Primal Core stage. However, the Lord of the Four Supremes required the condensation of 4 Primal Cores. Once one practiced the Lord of the Four Supremes, without the condensation of 4 primal cores, there was no way to enter the next stage of practice. In order to enter the next stage of practice, the only way was to condense 4 primal cores. In other words, when one reached the primal core stage and practiced the Lord of the Four Supremes, they could have 4 primal cores in their bodies. Think about it, at the same level of practice, if you had 4 primal cores in your body to provide you with energy, but your opponent only had 1 primal core to provide him with energy, what kind of concept was that? It was the same for the Dharma stage. Only when the 4 primal cores in the body were refined to the extreme would one be able to enter the peak of the primal core stage and even break through to the Dharma stage. After entering the Dharma stage, the 4 primal cores will show their different Dharma powers, and they will show the Dharma powers of the 4 ancient divine beasts. One more step, from the Dharma stage to the primordial soul stage, the 4 primal cores and their respective Dharma powers will merge into one, and the primordial spirits of the 4 ancient divine beasts can be formed. The Azure Dragon primordial spirit specializes in soul attacks. The White Tiger primordial spirit specializes in close combat. The Vermilion Bird primordial spirit specializes in long-range attacks. The Black Tortoise primordial spirit specializes in defense. Just the thought of using the Lord of the Four Supremes to train to the primordial soul stage made Zhou Donghuang's eyes light up, and he was filled with anticipation. Using the Lord of the Four Supremes to train to the primordial soul stage, he would be able to use the primordial spirits of the 4 divine beasts to fight. How powerful would that be? Why don't I just train in the Lord of the Four Supremes? Although there are no further training methods, can't I, Zhou Donghuang, study other methods to perfect it? Although this will be very stressful, but if there is no stress in life, what difference is there between living and being a salted fish? At this thought, Zhou Donghuang took a deep breath, and on the morning of the 14th of December 1227 of the Xian era, he made a decision that would affect his entire life. He would train in the Lord of the Four Supremes. Of course, Zhou Donghuang had chosen the Lord of the Four Supremes mainly because it would allow him to have 4 primordial spirits, and they would be the primordial spirits of the 4 ancient divine beasts. The primordial spirits of the 4 divine beasts worked together and had almost no weaknesses. Otherwise, he would not have chosen a technique that would only allow him to train to the primordial soul stage. Now, I just have to wait for the next medicinal bath to completely remove the seal, then, I can officially train in the Lord of the Four Supremes and embark on the path of martial arts once again. After making his decision, Zhou Donghuang's eyes were filled with anticipation. Chapter 7. The next day, Zhou Donghuang woke up early in the morning. After tonight, the seal in his body would be completely removed, and he would once again embark on the path of martial arts. Although the spirit on Xian was much richer than on Earth during the end of time, it would still take some time for him to attain level 1 of the gathered qi. Practicing step by step is too slow. I still need to take some shortcuts. In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had stood at the pinnacle of all the races in the universe. Apart from his exceptional martial ability, he had also achieved a high level of proficiency in alchemy. The art of alchemy referred to the art of refining pills. Only those who had attained the primal core stage and above could practice alchemy. This was because only those who had attained the primal core stage and above possessed essential core, and the samadhi fire required for alchemy could only be produced by essential core. Those who had attained the primal core stage and below, no matter how deep their understanding of the art of alchemy, could only be considered medicine masters, and not core-forging masters. Medicine masters were divided into inferior, intermediate, superior, earthly, and heavenly levels. In the country of Yunyang, superior-level medicine masters were highly sought after, even in the imperial court of Yunyang, and the imperial court had to worship and serve them well. As for earthly-level medicine masters, there were none in the country of Yunyang, and even if there were, they would not remain in a small place like Yunyang. As for heaven-level medicine masters, there had never been one in the history of the country of Yunyang. Without attaining the primal core stage, there is no way to refine the qi-gathering elixir, but even so, I can still formulate the qi-gathering elixir through the combination of some herbs. The qi-gathering elixir was an elixir used by adepts of the gathered qi to assist in their practice. After taking it, it could increase the sensitivity to qi and increase the speed of practice. The qi-gathering elixir was very precious, and usually only those who were well off could afford it. There are also qi-gathering elixirs in the country of Yunyang, but the ordinary qi-gathering elixirs in the country of Yunyang that are widely available on the market only increase the sensitivity to qi by 50% and increase the speed of practice by 50%. Even the best qi-gathering elixir in the country of Yunyang, formulated by a superior-level medicine master from the imperial court, can only double the sensitivity to qi and double the speed of practice, and it is 10 times more expensive than ordinary qi-gathering elixirs. And in my memory, the best qi-gathering elixir made from the formula can increase the sensitivity to qi by 10 times and increase the speed of practice by 10 times. After 2 days, Zhou Donghuang once again visited the pharmacy of the Magnolia Guild. After obtaining some of the common herbs he needed, he went to look for Granny Lien. Granny Lien, does the Chamber of Commerce have these herbs? Before Zhou Donghuang had come to find Granny Lien, he had already written down all the herbs he needed on a piece of paper, and now he passed it directly to Granny Lien. Colorful snake flower, purple water chestnut leaf, earth Ganoderma that is over 50 years old. Granny Lien felt her scalp go numb as she looked at the list of rare herbs on the paper. This was because the value of these herbs was no less than the 250-year-old blood ginseng that she had given Zhou Donghuang. Young master, only half of these herbs can be found in the treasure storehouse of the Merchant Association. Granny Lien smiled bitterly. After witnessing Zhou Donghuang's astonishing methods, she did not dare to question any of his decisions. Every decision made by the young master had to be reasonable. On Earth, Granny Lien would now be Zhou Donghuang's die-hard fan, and the most loyal kind. Only half? Zhou Donghuang frowned. The herbs he had listed were all herbs that could possibly appear in Qingshan town. He had not written down the more precious herbs that could not possibly appear in Qingshan town. Which ones? Zhou Donghuang asked. If he could only gather half, then he would have to settle for the next best thing and formulate a slightly inferior qi-gathering elixir. As Granny Lien named the other half of the herbs, Zhou Donghuang sighed inwardly. With these herbs, and the herbs I just took out from the pharmacy storehouse, I can only formulate a qi-gathering elixir that increases the sensitivity to qi by 2 times and increases the speed of practice by 2 times. Too slow. But that's all I can do for now. No one knew what Zhou Donghuang was thinking. If anyone else knew what he was thinking, they would be so angry that they would vomit blood. In the country of Yunyang, even the best qi-gathering elixir formulated by the superior-level medicine master of the imperial court could only increase the sensitivity to qi by 2 times. It was not hard to imagine, if word got out that Zhou Donghuang had formulated a qi-gathering elixir that could increase the sensitivity to qi by 2 times in a small place like Qingshan town, it would certainly cause a huge uproar in the country of Yunyang. It's finally done. With Granny Lien's cooperation, Zhou Donghuang only took an hour to formulate a qi-gathering elixir that could increase the sensitivity to qi by 2-fold after obtaining the rare herbs that he needed. Now, everything is ready except for the final push. After completing the qi-gathering elixir, Zhou Donghuang waited for night to fall. Once night fell, he could begin his last medicinal bath. Ziyun Era, December 15, 1997, early morning. It's done. Zhou Donghuang had not slept during the medicinal bath the night before, but had been focused on waiting for the seal in his body to be completely lifted. Finally, in the early morning of the next day, the seal in his body was lifted. At this moment, even though Zhou Donghuang had 1,000 years of memories from his past life, he could not help but feel excited. It was only after he had dried himself, put on his clothes, and returned to bed that he gradually suppressed his excitement. Sitting cross-legged, Zhou Donghuang swallowed a bottle of qi-gathering elixir and began to practice. Lord of the Four Supremes. Zhou Donghuang followed the Lord of the Four Supremes' practice route in his memory and began to practice, absorbing the spirit in the air. Because of the foundation from his past life, Zhou Donghuang's practice was smooth, and with the help of the qi-gathering elixir, he absorbed spirit at a very fast rate. The spirit of the planet of Ziyun is indeed incomparable to that of Earth during the Age of Chaos. At this rate of practice, it feels like I will be able to smoothly attain level 1 of qi gathering in a month at most. If Zhou Donghuang's thoughts were known to others, they would surely be shocked. Even in the history of the country of Yunyang, the heir of the imperial court, who had set the record for being the fastest to attain level 1 of qi gathering, had taken 2 whole years to attain level 1 of qi gathering. But now, Zhou Donghuang said, he would only need a month to attain level 1 of qi gathering. Of course, there was a reason why Zhou Donghuang's rate of practice was so much faster than that of the imperial court. First, Zhou Donghuang's father and mother were both extremely powerful practitioners in the universe, so his innate talent could be considered top-notch in the entire universe. Secondly, the qi-gathering elixir he had swallowed could double his sensitivity to qi. Finally, he had 1,000 years of practice experience from his past life, and he knew how to maximize the amount of spirit absorbed and converted it into qi in his body. Furthermore, the Lord of the Four Supremes that he was now practicing could not be compared to the inferior practice methods of the planet of Ziyun. Taking all these factors into account, his rate of practice was naturally far superior to that of the imperial court of Yunyang. Immersed in practice, Zhou Donghuang completely lost track of time. He only awoke 2 days later, his face full of joy. I never thought that after mastering the Lord of the Four Supremes, would be able to further accelerate the rate at which I absorb spirit and convert it into qi. It looks like I won't need a month, at most in 10 days to half a month, and I will be able to attain level 1 of qi gathering and become a level 1 adept with the strength of a bull. At that time, combined with the extreme strength of all the muscles in my body, even if I do not use any martial arts techniques and only rely on brute force, I will be able to kill a level 2 adept with one blow. After the pleasant surprise, Zhou Donghuang began practicing again. However, this time, he had not practiced for long before he was startled by Granny Lian's voice. "Young master, Master San of Yunxian Restaurant is here." "Zhao San?" After being startled awake, Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed, and he subconsciously muttered, "It looks like that Zhao San has successfully attained level 4 of qi gathering." Zhou Donghuang once again met Zhao San in the drawing room of the Magnolia Guild. Zhao San had brought another person with him, and standing behind him was a middle-aged man with a goatee and a shrewd look, dressed in a tang suit from Earth. This time, as soon as Zhou Donghuang entered the drawing room, Zhao San hurriedly stood up from his armchair and saluted Zhou Donghuang with a respectful expression. "Young Master Zhou." Even now, Zhao San could not hide the joy in his eyes. "It looks like your level of practice has been restored to its original state." Zhou Donghuang smiled faintly. "It's all thanks to young Master Zhou." Hearing Zhou Donghuang mention this, Zhao San's face lit up, and he took out a thick piece of paper that was obviously very special and handed it to Zhou Donghuang. "Young Master Zhou, this is the title deed to Yunxian Restaurant. From today onwards, Yunxian Restaurant belongs to you, young Master Zhou." Zhou Donghuang did not stand on ceremony. He reached out and took the title deed for Yunxian Restaurant. Thanks. For him now, money was still very important. With money, he would be able to buy more and better herbs to aid his practice and increase the speed of his practice, so that he could leave the planet of Ziyun as soon as possible and conquer the vast expanse of the universe. The title deed was thick in his hand, and Zhou Donghuang only glanced at it briefly before stuffing it into his pocket, his expression as calm as ever. It was as if what he had just stuffed into his pocket was not the title deed to the most profitable business in Qingshan town, but an insignificant piece of scrap paper. After pausing for a moment, he retracted his gaze and said lightly, "Since we have already given Yunxian Restaurant to him, whether he can keep Yunxian Restaurant in the future depends on his own ability." Although Zhao San only needed to say one word to dissuade those who wanted to attack Yunxian restaurant from having any designs on Yunxian restaurant. However, he did not intend to do that. This was because he had always felt that Zhou Donghuang, who could cure his chronic illness, was no ordinary person. Even though it was rumored that Zhou Donghuang could not practice and was a martial invalid. A martial invalid was able to cripple the first young master of the Wang family, Wang Feng, on the street and twist Wang Feng's arm like a fried dough twist. Thinking back to the news he had heard after coming out of seclusion today, Zhao San was still somewhat shocked. What an interesting fellow. I only hope that after you take over Yunxian restaurant, your performance will not disappoint me too much. Of course, this was what Zhao San thought in his heart, but he did not say it out loud. Depends on his own ability? Hearing Zhao San's words, Li Xian, who was following behind him, suddenly brightened, and a look of greed flashed across his eyes. Of course, Zhao San did not have eyes in the back of his head, so he did not notice this. 2 days later, Zhou Donghuang was once again awakened from his practice. This time, it was because his mother, Lin Lan, had returned from the Lin family in the prefecture capital. Not long after her return, Lin Lan came looking for him. "Mother, have you given the formula to the Lin family?" Seeing Lin Lan, a look of gentleness flashed across Zhou Donghuang's eyes. Although Lin Lan was only his adoptive mother, her love for him was no less than that of his biological mother, and even surpassed that of many biological mothers. Because of him, Lin Lan had remained unmarried. When he was young, he had overheard Granny Lian advise Lin Lan to find a good family to marry, but Lin Lan had vehemently refused. At that time, Lin Lan had said, "My life was saved by Donghuang's father. I will never let Donghuang suffer in this lifetime." Obviously, Lin Lan felt that if she were to marry and have children, Zhou Donghuang would suffer. Thus, she had never thought of marrying. Even when Zhou Donghuang grew up and became more sensible, and tried to persuade Lin Lan to marry, Lin Lan had only brushed him off with a smile. Lin Lan smiled and nodded, but the look she gave Zhou Donghuang was full of complex emotions. Just now, when she had returned, she had heard from Granny Lian some of the things that had happened during her absence from the guild. First, her son had cured the chronic illness of the owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhao San, so much so that Zhao San had given Yunxian restaurant to her son. Second, her son had been provoked by the first young master of the Wang family, Wang Feng, and had crippled one of Wang Feng's arms. She was not surprised by the latter. After all, her son had previously defeated the guild master of the Sunset Guild, Hongyu, a level 1 adept of qi gathering, right in front of her. Wang Feng had not even attained level 1 of qi gathering, and naturally would not be a match for her son. If there was anything that surprised her, it would be the ruthlessness of her son, who was a completely different person from the obedient child she remembered. The former was what surprised her the most. That Zhao San was no ordinary person, but a direct descendant of the governor's household of the prefecture capital. He must have found many people to treat his chronic illness, but none of them had been able to do so. Finally, it had been cured by her son. For Zhao San to give Yunxian restaurant away meant that her son had indeed done Zhao San a great favor. What did the Lin family say? What Zhou Donghuang wanted to know most now was the reaction of the Lin family of the prefecture capital. With his formula, his mother would not only be able to tide over this crisis, but would also be able to obtain some benefits from the Lin family. "I don't know yet." Lin Lan shook her head. "However, I have already passed the formula to the 4th elder of the Lin family, who has been in charge of liaising with the Magnolia Guild. The 4th elder said that once he has passed the formula to the patriarch will make a decision and then send someone to inform me." "The 4th elder?" Zhou Donghuang frowned slightly. "Mother means that you have not even seen the patriarch? And you have not seen the head elder? That 4th elder, is he trustworthy? He wouldn't have kept the prescription for himself, would he?" In the Lin family of the prefecture capital, the true decision-makers were the patriarch of the Lin family and the head elder of the Lin family. Zhou Donghuang was well aware of this. The fourth elder said that the patriarch is in seclusion, and the head elder has gone out. Lin Lan said. Could it be so coincidental? Hearing Lin Lan say this, Zhou Donghuang became more and more suspicious. Surely, not? This is not a small matter. Now, seeing the suspicion on Zhou Donghuang's face, even Lin Lan was a little worried, but she still tried to comfort herself. In the face of profit, nothing is impossible. Zhou Donghuang shook his head as he spoke. In his previous life, having lived for 1,000 years, he had seen too many greedy people. As long as the fourth elder of the Lin family had any ulterior motives, he would definitely not miss such a good opportunity. The human heart can't be so evil. I think we should still think positively. Lin Lan said. Of course, although she said this, Lin Lan was still a little worried. After all, even the adopted daughter she had raised for 10 years had betrayed her. It was not entirely impossible that the fourth elder of the Lin family had kept the formula for himself. I hope so. Zhou Donghuang nodded. Naturally, he also hoped that the fourth elder of the Lin family would not have any ill intentions towards the formula his mother had sent over. Otherwise, thinking of this, a cold light flashed in Zhou Donghuang's eyes. Donghuang, now that I'm back, you should tell me, right? Lin Lan stared at Zhou Donghuang with a burning gaze. Obviously, she still remembered what Zhou Donghuang had said to her before she left. At that time, Zhou Donghuang had told her that when she returned, he would tell her where the formula for the blood-staunching elixir had come from, and how he had been able to defeat Hong Yu without practicing his qi. Mother. Zhou Donghuang's expression also became serious at this moment. What I'm about to say to you, you must not tell anyone, not even Granny Lian. Because this matter is of great importance, and it even concerns my personal safety. Zhou Donghuang trusted Lin Lan unconditionally. Therefore, even if he were to tell Lin Lan about his past life, he did not feel that there was anything wrong with it, and it could even prevent Lin Lan from being surprised by some of his shocking actions in the future. Does it involve your personal safety? Lin Lan's expression changed, and she shook her head repeatedly. Donghuang, if that's the case, you don't have to tell me, and I don't want to know. I still believe that no matter what has happened to you, you will always be my good child. At this time, Lin Lan was determined not to listen to Zhou Donghuang, obviously frightened by what he had said. Regarding this, although Zhou Donghuang felt helpless, he did not insist. In fact, although telling Lin Lan about these matters was not a bad thing for her, it was not a good thing either. Now that Lin Lan did not want to listen, Zhou Donghuang did not insist. After Lin Lan left, Zhou Donghuang continued to practice. Now, the only thing on his mind was to quickly increase his level of practice. Only by becoming stronger would he have the ability to protect himself in this life, as well as the ability to protect the people he cared about. In this life, he would not allow himself to have any regrets. Besides, the reason why he was practicing so hard was also because he desperately wanted to leave the Ziyun planet and conquer the vast universe. There, he would be able to grow even faster. Besides, there were some people there waiting for him to change their fates. Chapter 9. Big Brother Donghuang. Big Brother Donghuang. Not long after she left, Zhou Donghuang, who had just calmed down to practice, was startled awake by a voice from outside. The voice was young and melodious, belonging to a girl. This voice, Zhou Donghuang opened his eyes, and a memory from 1,000 years ago surfaced in his mind, causing his lips to curl into a smile. That year, he had been 10 years old. On the street, he had seen a little girl of 5 or 6 being bullied by a few boys about her age, and he had stood up, grabbed one of the boys and beat him up, scaring the other boys away. After that, the little girl often came to the Magnolia Guild to play with him, following behind him and Chen Dandan, calling them Big Brother Donghuang and Big Sister Dandan. Oh, today is the 19th day of the 12th month of the year 1997 in the Ziyun era. On this day in my previous life, Xiaoyu came to ask me out for a meal, but I was in a bad mood because of Chen Dandan's betrayal, and the Magnolia Guild was in danger, so I rejected her. Zhou Donghuang remembered the incident as he opened the door to his room. Outside the door stood a girl who looked to be about 11 or 12 years old. Her skin was delicate, and her features were exquisite. It was not difficult to see that she was a beauty in the making. Qin Xiaoyu was a collateral descendant of the Qin family of Qingshan Town, and her status in the Qin family had been average, but ever since her father had become a level 1 adept and become an elder of the Qin family 5 years ago, she had become the little princess of the Qin family. Big brother Donghuang, someone is treating us to a meal in the earthly dining booth of Yunxian restaurant, come with us. This scene was no different from that of his previous life. Originally, Zhou Donghuang had wanted to reject her as he had done in his previous life, but seeing Qin Xiaoyu looking at him expectantly, he finally relented and agreed. Big brother Donghuang, when I went to Yunxian restaurant with my father before, I only went to the human dining booth and never the earthly dining booth. I heard that the earthly dining booth is very luxurious and has more dishes, and the minimum charge is 300 liang of silver. Qin Xiaoyu was very excited on the way to Yunxian restaurant after leaving the Magnolia Guild. Xiaoyu, who's treating? Zhou Donghuang asked curiously. The earthly dining booth of Yunxian restaurant was a place that most people could not bear to pay. As the son of the guild master of the Magnolia Guild, he naturally knew a thing or two about. There was no minimum consumption in the lobby. However, private rooms had a minimum cost. The cheapest human-rated private room had a minimum spending of 100 taels of silver. The cheapest earth-rated private room had a minimum spending of 300 taels of silver. Above the earth-ranked private rooms, there was also the best heaven-ranked private room. The minimum expenditure was 1,000 taels of silver. Even when the patriarchs of the lesser families of Qingshan Town went to Yunxian restaurant to eat, they would at most go to the earthly dining booth. They would only be willing to reserve a heavenly booth at Yunxian restaurant if there were important guests visiting. In Qingshan Town, a typical family of 3 would spend at most 180 taels of silver a year. It's Zhong Gang from the Zhong clan. He made a bet with big brother Qin Fei, and if he lost, he would treat big brother Qin Fei to a meal in the earthly dining booth of Yunxian restaurant. Qin Xiaoyu giggled. Big brother Qin Fei brought me along and told me that I could bring another person with me, and that I could find anyone I wanted. I immediately thought of you, big brother Donghuang. The big brother Qin Xiaoyu spoke of was the first young master of the Qin family, Qin Fei, who was a year older than Zhou Donghuang. Whether it was the Zhong family or the Qin family, they were both lesser families of equal standing with the Wang family in Qingshan Town, and each family had a level 2 adept of qi gathering overseeing it. Zhou Donghuang felt a surge of warmth in his heart when he heard Qin Xiaoyu's words. This little girl did not forget to bring him along even at such an opportunity. At this moment, Zhou Donghuang even thought of bringing Qin Xiaoyu to the heaven-ranked private room of Yunxian restaurant for a good meal so that she could satisfy her cravings. He was now the owner of Yunxian restaurant, and the entire restaurant was his property, so he did not have to spend money to eat at Yunxian restaurant. Very soon, Zhou Donghuang and Qin Xiaoyu arrived near Yunxian restaurant. As the best restaurant in Qingshan Town, Yunxian restaurant was located in the bustling center of Qingshan Town, occupying a vast area that was no less than the family mansions of any of the families in Qingshan Town. Led by Qin Xiaoyu, Zhou Donghuang walked with her to an earth-ranked private room on the second floor. As they entered Yunxian restaurant, Zhou Donghuang saw Chief Steward Li Xian, whom he had met 2 days ago. Li Xian was at the front desk with his head lowered, doing accounts, and did not see Zhou Donghuang. I guessed long ago that Xiaoyu would definitely go to the Magnolia Guild to look for you, Zhou Donghuang. As he followed Qin Xiaoyu into the private room, Zhou Donghuang heard a familiar yet distant voice from his memory. It was the first young master of the Qin family, Qin Fei. Now, in the private room, besides Qin Feiyang, there were 3 other people, all of whom Zhou Donghuang could recall by name. They were the first young master of the Zhong family, Zhong Gang, the second young master, Zhong Yi, and the third young mistress, Zhong Xiu. Of course, besides the 6 of them, there were also 2 servant girls standing to one side, serving them tea at any time. This was a standard feature of the earth-ranked private rooms of Yunxian restaurant. Little sister Xiaoyu, why did you bring him here? In 2 days, he will no longer be in the same world as us. When Zhong Xiu saw Zhou Donghuang, a look of disdain flashed across her eyes. As the third young mistress of the Zhong family, Zhong Xiu had heard about Chen Dandan's betrayal and the crisis that the Magnolia Guild was facing. What do you mean by not in the same world? No matter what happens, Big Brother Donghuang will always be my big brother. Qin Xiaoyu glared at Zhong Xiu in a bad mood, and said in a somewhat unhappy manner. Everyone who comes is a guest, let's take a seat, they should be here to serve the dishes soon. Just as the atmosphere in the private room was becoming awkward, Qin Fei spoke up. Qin Xiaoyu held Zhou Donghuang's hand as they walked to the table and sat beside her. In this process, Zhou Donghuang could clearly see that Qin Fei's gaze, which had inadvertently swept past him, flashed with an almost imperceptible cold light, and there was a tinge of jealousy in that cold light. This Qin Fei is interested in Xiaoyu? As a man, Zhou Donghuang could naturally see through Qin Fei's thoughts, and he felt a chill in his heart. If he remembered correctly, Xiaoyu was only 11 years old this year. This Qin Fei was a beast. Zhou Donghuang, I heard that you maimed Wang Feng on the streets a few days ago. Zhou Donghuang had just sat down when Zhong Yi, who was sitting beside Zhong Xiu, asked with narrowed eyes. Yes. Zhou Donghuang nodded. He was in my way, and I asked him to withdraw his hand, but he wouldn't listen, so I could only help him. Zhou Donghuang's words were spoken casually, as if maiming Wang Feng's arm was a trivial matter. In fact, in his eyes, it was indeed a trivial matter. Zhong Yi had not expected Zhou Donghuang to answer him this way, and his eyes narrowed subconsciously, the corners of his mouth twitching uncontrollably. Zhou Donghuang, do you know? Red Crane Wang, the chief of the Wang family, has already spread the word that he will use your life as compensation for maiming his son's arm. Zhong Gang reminded as he looked deeply at Zhou Donghuang. Is that so? Zhou Donghuang was somewhat surprised. I have not heard of this, but I have not left the Magnolia Guild these few days, and I have not seen him come looking for me. He's probably just joking, right? As Zhou Donghuang spoke, he picked up the cup of tea that a servant girl had just poured for him and took a sip, his expression as calm as ever. Zhou Donghuang, are you really stupid or just pretending? Zhong Xiu laughed coldly. Now, you have the Magnolia Guild as your backer, and the Wang family will not dare to touch you lightly. Do you think the Lin family of the prefecture capital will let the Magnolia Guild off just because the formula was leaked? In another 2 days, the Lin family will definitely send someone to expel your mother, Lin Lan, from the Lin family, and at the same time recall the level 2 adept of Qi gathering from the Magnolia Guild. At that time, the Magnolia Guild will only exist in name. Do you think the Wang family will let you off? Your mother, Lin Lan, is a mere level 1 adept of Qi gathering. Can she protect you? As she spoke, the cold smile on Zhong Xiu's face deepened. Big Brother Donghuang. Sitting beside Zhou Donghuang, Qin Xiaoyu's expression changed. Although she had heard some of the rumors, she was still young and did not know that Zhou Donghuang was facing such a difficult situation. Zhou Donghuang, although your mother Lin Lan is a level 1 adept of Qi gathering, the Wang family has no less than 5 level 1 adepts of Qi gathering, and even a level 2 adept. Zhong Yi looked at Zhou Donghuang and grinned. The Magnolia Guild will lose the support of the Lin family of the prefecture capital and will cease to exist. At that time, how will you fight against the Wang family? This is my problem, you don't have to worry about it, Duan Donghuang said calmly. Duan Donghuang said calmly. From the beginning to the end, his expression was calm, and there was not even the slightest change in his expression. Whether it was Zhong Xiao or Zhong Yi, both of them felt powerless but had nowhere to exert their power. Just then, there was a knock on the door. It was the head chef of Yunxian restaurant who had personally come to serve the dishes, and with every dish he served, he would recite a story. However, just as he was about to recite the story of the second dish, he was rebuked by Zhong Gang. "We are here to eat, not to listen to your nonsense, leave us." The head chef acknowledged and retreated. After the dishes had been served, Qin Fei invited the crowd to eat as if he were the host. "I don't come to this earthly dining booth more than twice a year. Qin Fei, it's all thanks to your treat this time that I can once again taste the delicacies of this earthly dining booth." Zhong Yi spoke incoherently as he buried his head in his food. As soon as he said this, Qin Fei's expression changed. Zhong Xiao and Zhong Gang, who were sitting beside Zhong Yi, also frowned slightly, and Zhong Xiao even kicked Zhong Yi, startling him out of his reverie. At this moment, Zhong Yi also realized that he had said the wrong thing, and he looked embarrassed. "Big brother Qin Fei, isn't this Zhong Gang's treat? Didn't you tell me that he lost a bet with you, so he's treating?" Qin Xiaoyu looked at Qin Fei with a puzzled expression, and Qin Fei smiled awkwardly. "Xiaoyu, Zhong Gang and I have been good friends for many years, and the bet was just a joke, it doesn't matter who treats." Zhou Donghuang raised an eyebrow. At this moment, if he still could not tell that this was a feast at Hongmen targeted at him, then he would have lived for nothing. Chapter 10. From the moment they had entered the earthly dining booth of Yunxian restaurant, the three members of the Zhong family had taken turns to criticize Zhou Donghuang. Every word they said was a reflection of Zhou Donghuang's current predicament. At first, Zhou Donghuang had thought that the three of them had done this casually. However, now that he found out that Qin Fei was the one treating, he guessed that Qin Fei had purposely brought Qin Xiaoyu over to watch him make a fool of himself. The motive was obvious. It was to belittle his image in front of Qin Xiaoyu, so that she would not cling to him as she had done before. Because Qin Fei liked Qin Xiaoyu. And a man's possessiveness made Qin Fei unable to accept Qin Xiaoyu being close to another man. As such, he had naturally become a thorn in Qin Fei's side. After thinking this through, Zhou Donghuang laughed to himself, "What a little kid who hasn't grown up yet." At this moment, Zhou Donghuang seemed to have forgotten that he was only 16 years old, and Qin Fei was 1 year older than him. "Brother Donghuang, I've long heard that you can't practice qi. How did you manage to destroy Wang Feng? You should know that Wang Feng's ability is not much weaker than mine and Zhong Gang's." Qin Fei asked curiously as he looked at Zhou Donghuang. As Qin Fei spoke, not only Zhong Gang, Zhong Yi, and the Zhong siblings, but even Qin Xiaoyu looked at Zhou Donghuang curiously. Obviously, they were all curious about this. Zhou Donghuang could not practice qi, and was a martial invalid. This was no secret in Qingshan town. "Although I can't practice qi, I still have some brute force." Zhou Donghuang unceremoniously swept through the herbs on the table as he spoke. From beginning to end, he did not even look at Qin Fei. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang had casually brushed him off, Qin Fei's expression darkened, but he still forced a smile. "As far as I know, Wang Feng has made some progress in practicing qi, and he has at least a few hundred gene of strength. Even if Wang Feng was careless, normal brute force would not have been able to twist his arm into a knot, right? That can only mean that his arm is too weak." Zhou Donghuang said. "Zhou Donghuang, for you to have such great strength, it must be because President Lin Lan went around looking for treasures to strengthen your body, right?" Zhong Yi looked at Zhou Donghuang intently. "If not, you would not have such brute strength." Zhong Xiao snorted coldly and said, "No wonder Chen Dandan betrayed President Lin Lan. It turns out that she is so biased towards you." Zhong Xiao hadn't even blurted out the word, "heart," when she shut her mouth again. This was because Zhou Donghuang had stopped sweeping the dishes on the table, and was staring at her with an ice-cold gaze. Zhou Donghuang's cold gaze gave her immense pressure, and she did not have the courage to continue speaking. If you mention Chen Dandan again, I don't mind tying a knot on your arm. Zhou Donghuang slowly grinned, revealing 2 rows of snow-white teeth. His icy voice seemed to cause the temperature in the entire room to drop by several degrees. Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang, how dare you? Seeing Zhou Donghuang threaten their sister, Zhonggang and Zhongyi immediately stood up and glared at Zhou Donghuang. However, Zhou Donghuang did not even look at them. He continued eating as if they did not exist. This made the 2 of them even angrier out of shame. Sit down, it's rare for us to sit together, why make it so awkward? Zhongxiu, this is where you are wrong. That Chen Dandan is ungrateful, like a street rat. Everyone wants to beat her up. How can you defend her? At this moment, Qin Fei stepped forward to smooth things over. At the same time, he gave Zhonggang and Zhongyi a look. Only then did the 2 sit back down unwillingly. As soon as Qin Fei finished speaking, he looked at Qin Xiaoyu and asked with a smile, Xiaoyu, am I right? Big brother Qin Fei is right. That Chen Dandan is ungrateful, like a street rat. Qin Xiaoyu nodded seriously. At the same time, she looked at Qin Fei gratefully and thanked him in a low voice. Big brother Qin Fei, thank you for helping big brother Donghuang out just now. Xiaoyu, don't mention it. Your friends are my friends, Qin Fei replied in a low voice. In his heart, he was overjoyed because this was the effect he had wanted. Otherwise, why would he have stepped forward to help Zhou Donghuang out of his predicament? Although Zhou Donghuang had been able to cripple Wang Feng, he felt that it was because Wang Feng had been careless. Zhonggang and Zhongyi had joined forces, and even he had not been a match for them. He did not think that Zhou Donghuang would be a match for them. Although Qin Xiaoyu and Qin Fei's whispered conversation was not loud, Zhou Donghuang still heard it clearly. The Lord of the 4 Supremes that he practiced was an extremely powerful technique. Besides improving his level of practice, it could also improve his physical fitness in all aspects. Although he had not yet attained level 1 of the gathered qi, his hearing had improved significantly. Hypocrite! Zhou Donghuang thought to himself. It was not difficult for him to see that Qin Fei was trying to please Qin Xiaoyu. The atmosphere in the booth fell silent once again. Brother Donghuang. Finally, it was Qin Fei who broke the silence and asked Zhou Donghuang, let's be serious, do you think that the Magnolia Guild will be able to survive this ordeal? Are you serious? Zhou Donghuang was stunned at first, but then he smiled. I like to be serious. The next moment, under the gaze of Qin Fei and the others, Zhou Donghuang said seriously, I don't really care whether the Magnolia Guild can survive this ordeal. All I care about is my mother's safety. Zhou Donghuang was speaking the truth. The Magnolia Guild was, to put it bluntly, his mother working for the Lin family. No matter how much money she earned, 90% of it belonged to the Lin family. The remaining 10% finally reached his mother's hands, but she had to invest it again to earn more money. If she did not have enough money, she would have to find a way to borrow money herself. All these years, his mother had not had a good day's rest for the Magnolia Guild. Perhaps, without the Magnolia Guild, his mother would be able to rest a little. You don't care? Who would believe that? Zhongxiu sneered. Huh, this is definitely the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. Zhongyi laughed heartily. Zhou Donghuang, without the Magnolia Guild, you will have no background. Now, you rely on the Magnolia Guild's background, and people call you, Young Master Donghuang. Without the Magnolia Guild, you are just a martial invalid who cannot practice qi. Who would respect you then? Zhonggang said disdainfully. Why is it that no one believes a few words of truth these days? Zhou Donghuang shook his head and let out a long sigh. His expression carried a sense of loss, as though he had lost a confidant. Brother Donghuang, why didn't I realize before that you were so humorous? Qin Fei tried to smooth things over again. What? Even you don't believe me? Zhou Donghuang asked Qin Fei. Qin Fei looked at Zhou Donghuang, then looked at Qin Xiaoyu, and said helplessly, "It's not that I don't believe you, Brother Donghuang, it's just that what you've said is hard to believe. If that's the case, what if I told you that even if that level 2 adept of the Wang family came looking for me personally, I would be able to kill him with a single slap?" Zhou Donghuang asked Qin Fei again. "You don't believe me either?" Qin Fei was stunned. Qin Xiaoyu was dumbstruck. The two servant girls at the dining table were also shocked by Zhou Donghuang's words. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Meanwhile, the three Zhong siblings burst into laughter in unison. Their laughter was so loud that it filled the entire room and even caused some of the lighter plates on the table to tremble. "Zhou Donghuang, I think you've gone mad because you can't accept the fact that the Magnolia Guild is about to collapse?" Zhong Xiu laughed so hard that tears streamed down her face. "Zhou Donghuang, you're so good at bragging, why don't you just say that you and the owner of Yunxian Restaurant, Elder Xiaofan, are brothers, and that you can eat here for free?" Zhong Yi was rocking back and forth with laughter. "That's right. Aren't you good at bragging? Why don't you brag a little louder?" Zhong Gang laughed in agreement, looking at Zhou Donghuang as if he were a monkey. "You've hit the nail on the head." Zhou Donghuang looked at Zhong Yi and said in all seriousness, "I can really eat for free at Yunxian Restaurant. However, the reason I can eat here for free is not because Zhao San and I are brothers, but because I am the owner of Yunxian Restaurant." Zhou Donghuang spoke very seriously. Ha 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 ha, the three Zhong siblings laughed even harder, as if they could not stop. The owner of Yunxian Restaurant was the richest man in Qingshan town, Zhao San. That was an ironclad fact, but now Zhou Donghuang was saying that he was the owner of Yunxian Restaurant? Could anything be more ridiculous than that? This Zhou Donghuang must have really lost his mind. When Qin Fei looked at Zhou Donghuang again, his eyes were filled with disgust. "What? Qin Fei, you still don't believe me?" Zhou Donghuang asked Qin Fei. "Brother Donghuang, let's stop here." Qin Fei shook his head, his voice no longer as warm as before and much colder. He could not even be bothered to respond to Zhou Donghuang. "Big brother Donghuang." Just then, Qin Xiaoyu also looked worriedly at Zhou Donghuang, wondering if her big brother Donghuang was sick. Otherwise, why would he keep spouting nonsense? Although she was young, she knew that what Zhou Donghuang said was unrealistic and could not be true. Knock, knock, a loud knock came from the door, causing the laughter of the three Zhong brothers to temporarily stop. Qin Fei shouted towards the door, "Come in. Guests, your voices are too loud, and you are disturbing the guests next door, could you please lower your voices?" The door to the booth opened, and a middle-aged man with a goatee and a shrewd gleam in his eyes walked in. Chief Steward Li Xian. The moment they saw the middle-aged man, the three Zhong brothers stood up as if they were sitting on pins and needles, and Qin Fei also pulled Qin Xiaoyu to her feet. The three Zhong brothers, as well as Qin Fei, all bowed respectfully to the man who had just arrived. Although Li Xian was only a junior chief steward, he was the chief steward of Yunxian Restaurant, and he worked for Zhao San, the owner of Yunxian Restaurant. Usually, even their elders would be very respectful to Li Xian. In front of Li Xian, they naturally did not dare to be presumptuous. P.S. This is the third chapter for today. There will be one more chapter today, so the update time will be changed. From tomorrow onwards, there will be a new chapter at 8 in the morning and another at 6 in the evening, all of which will be large chapters of more than 3,000 words. There will be no more chapters in the wee hours of the morning, so that everyone will not stay up late. Chapter 11. So it's first young Master Qin, first young Master Zhong, second young Master Zhong, and third young Mistress Zhong. Although the four people before him were the sons and daughters of the patriarchs of the Qin and Zhong families of Qingshan town, Li Xian only nodded lightly to them. Usually, even the patriarchs of the Qin and Zhong families treated him with respect, not daring to be presumptuous. A few juniors were nothing to him. "Gentlemen, please be quiet, after all, Yunxian restaurant is not only doing business with you," Li Xian said in a low voice as he looked at Qin Fei and the others. "Don't worry, Chief Steward Li Xian, we will be quiet from now on." Qin Fei hurriedly bowed in acknowledgement. The three Zhong brothers also nodded and bowed, forcing smiles on their faces and nodding like chicks pecking at rice. Qin Xiaoyu, who was standing beside Qin Fei, looked at Li Xian with some restraint and fear in her eyes. Usually, when she and her father ate at Yunxian restaurant, her father would pull her along and bow respectfully to Li Xian when he saw him. Li Xian was the chief steward of Yunxian restaurant, working for the richest man in Qingshan town, Zhao San. And Zhao San was a very influential figure in Qingshan town, and it was said that he had connections with the governor's household in the prefecture capital. Just as Li Xian turned to leave, Qin Fei and the others heaved a collective sigh of relief. "Chief Steward Li, how impressive!" An indifferent voice abruptly rang out within the room, causing the expressions of Qin Fei and the rest to change. Their bodies even started to tremble from fear. Li Xian, who had just turned away, heard the voice, and although it sounded familiar, he still turned to look in the direction of the voice. With just a glance, Li Xian saw Zhou Donghuang, whose face was half blocked by Qin Xiaoyu, who had stood up. Although he could only see half of Zhou Donghuang's face, Li Xian recognized him immediately. The new boss of Yunxian restaurant. Why is he here? Thinking of his behavior just now, Li Xian's heart skipped a beat, and he looked at Zhou Donghuang uneasily, not daring to make a sound for a long time, like a child who had done something wrong. "Zhou Donghuang, how dare you?" Zhongyi glared at Zhou Donghuang and shouted, "Don't tell me you really think you are the boss of Yunxian restaurant? Zhou Donghuang, I think you've really gone crazy. How dare you act so presumptuously before shopkeeper Li Xian? Today, even if the Magnolia Guild has not fallen, it will not be able to protect you." Zhong Xiu shouted coldly. Zhou Donghuang, quickly apologize to shopkeeper Li Xian, otherwise, I will not let you off today. Zhonggang also shouted angrily, as if he was going to stand up for Li Xian. "Zhou Donghuang, I, Qin Fei, have been giving you face by calling you my brother. Who would have thought that you would be so ungrateful?" Seeing that Zhou Donghuang had dared to speak to Li Xian in such a manner, Qin Fei, who was deeply afraid of being implicated by Zhou Donghuang, hurriedly drew a line between himself and Zhou Donghuang. "If I, Qin Fei, had not treated you, in 2 days, your Magnolia Guild would have collapsed, and you would never have had the chance to step into the earthly dining booth of Yunxian restaurant. Now, I order you to apologize to manager Li Xian immediately. Otherwise, don't even think about walking out of this earthly room." Qin Fei looked at Zhou Donghuang with an extremely cold gaze, as if he would immediately attack Zhou Donghuang if Zhou Donghuang dared to refuse. As soon as Zhou Donghuang had spoken, the gazes of Qin Fei and the others had already been fixed on Zhou Donghuang, so they did not see the uneasy expression on Li Xian's face. Big brother Donghuang, Qin Xiaoyu's expression changed as well. She had never imagined that her big brother Donghuang would dare to act so presumptuously before Li Xian. Was he not afraid of offending Li Xian? "Shopkeeper Li Xian, my big brother Donghuang has been in a bad mood these few days, and what he said just now was nonsense. Please don't take it to heart." As Qin Xiaoyu spoke, she turned her gaze from Zhou Donghuang to Li Xian, but just as she finished speaking, she was stunned. Because she saw Li Xian looking at her big brother Donghuang with an uneasy expression, as if her big brother Donghuang was some dreadful monster. Smack! A crisp and resounding slap rang out in the booth, as abrupt as Zhou Donghuang's earlier words, without any warning. It was Li Xian who had moved in front of Qin Fei and given him a fiery slap, causing a black and red handprint to appear on Qin Fei's face. Shopkeeper Li Xian, Qin Fei, who was bleeding from the corner of his mouth, looked at Li Xian in confusion, not knowing why Li Xian had hit him. If he remembered correctly, he had been standing up for Li Xian just now, hadn't he? Even if Li Xian wanted to hit someone, he shouldn't have hit him, right? The three Zhong siblings had also been attracted by the crisp slap, and when they saw the scene before them, they were also completely stunned. And just at this moment, Li Xian, who had just slapped Qin Fei, ignored Qin Fei. Instead, with a trembling voice, he respectfully bowed to Zhou Donghuang, who was seated inside. "Young Master Donghuang, I didn't know you were here. If I had, would definitely have arranged a heavenly booth for you." This scene caused everyone in the room to be dumbfounded. Heavens! What had they just seen? Li Xian, the shopkeeper of Yunxian restaurant, someone whom even the patriarchs of the three great lesser families of Qingshan town had to treat with respect, was actually bowing to Zhou Donghuang? Moreover, Li Xian's humble attitude was inconceivable to them. Could it be that this Zhou Donghuang had some hidden identity that they did not know about? A mere identity as the son of Guild Master Lin Lan of the Magnolia Guild should not be enough for Li Xian to treat him like this, right? Qin Fei and the three Zhong brothers were completely thrown into confusion at this moment. Even Qin Xiaoyu was stunned as she stared blankly at this scene. "Li Xian, tell them, if I can eat at Yunxian restaurant for free?" Zhou Donghuang said lightly. "Young Master Donghuang must be joking." Li Xian smiled bitterly. "You are now the owner of Yunxian restaurant, who would dare to take your money for a meal at your own restaurant?" When Zhou Donghuang had spoken to Li Xian, Qin Fei and the three Zhong siblings' hearts had already thumped in unison, and they had a vague sense of foreboding. What Li Xian said next made their premonition come true. "Big brother Donghuang, is the owner of Yunxian restaurant?" Qin Xiaoyu's mouth hung open in shock, and she could not close it for a long time. On the other hand, Qin Fei and the three Zhong siblings were dumbstruck. They even wondered if they were dreaming and pinched themselves in unison. The intense pain made them realize that they were not dreaming. For a moment, the four of them looked at each other, seeing the shock and disbelief in each other's eyes. Zhou Donghuang, the son of Guild Master Lin Lan of the Sunset Guild, a martial invalid who could not practice qi. How had he become the owner of Yunxian restaurant? Wasn't the owner of Yunxian restaurant the richest man in Qingshan town, Zhao San? Chief Steward Li Xian, are you mistaken? Isn't the owner of Yunxian restaurant Elder Zhao San? Zhong Xiu fiercely swallowed her saliva and asked Li Xian. It was as if she was grasping at the last life-saving straw. Humph. Li Xian glanced at Zhong Xiu and snorted coldly. Third Master returned to the prefecture capital 2 days ago. Before he left, he gave Yunxian restaurant to young Master Donghuang. Since 2 days ago, young Master Donghuang has been the owner of Yunxian restaurant and has taken full control of it. Li Xian's response completely destroyed the last bit of fantasy in the depths of Zhong Xiu's heart. At this moment, it wasn't just Zhong Xiu, Zhong Gang and Zhong Yi who felt their faces burning. It turned out that Zhou Donghuang had not been bragging. He really could eat for free at Yunxian restaurant. He really was the owner of Yunxian restaurant. This Zhou Donghuang, what kind of luck does he have? Why would Elder Zhao San give Yunxian restaurant to him? When Qin Fei looked at Zhou Donghuang again, his eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred, and he was roaring in his heart, what has Zhou Donghuang done to deserve it? Young Master Donghuang, let me take you to the heavenly dining booth. Li Xian said to Zhou Donghuang. There's no need, I'm already full. Zhou Donghuang shook his head and looked at Qin Xiaoyu beside him with a slight smile. Xiaoyu, if you're not full, let Chief Steward Li take you to the heavenly dining booth to continue eating. From now on, whenever you eat at Yunxian restaurant, you can go directly to the heavenly dining booth, all expenses are on the house. Big brother Donghuang has matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang stood up. He had not wanted to come in the first place, but now that he was full, it was time to go back to practice. After all, his top priority was still to practice. Nothing else mattered. Before he left, Zhou Donghuang glanced at Li Xian indifferently. "Chief Steward Li, did you hear what I said just now?" I heard. Li Xian hurriedly nodded his head and looked at Qin Xiaoyu. "From today on, whenever this young lady comes to Yunxian restaurant, you can go directly to the heavenly dining booth. All expenses are on the house." Zhou Donghuang nodded his head in satisfaction and strode out of the earthly dining booth, leaving behind a carefree silhouette. Big brother Donghuang. After Zhou Donghuang left, Qin Xiaoyu could not recover her senses for a long time, as if she were in a dream. As for Qin Fei and the three Zhong siblings, their expressions were as unsightly as it could get. Today, they had wanted Zhou Donghuang to come over and humiliate him, causing him to lose all face. But now, they were the ones who had lost face. Not long after Zhou Donghuang returned to the Magnolia Guild and returned to his room to practice, a piece of news spread throughout Qingshan town. The owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhao San, had left Qingshan town 2 days ago, and before leaving, he had given Yunxian restaurant to the son of Guild Master Lin Lan of the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Donghuang. Immediately, Qingshan town was in an uproar. Yunxian restaurant was the most profitable business in Qingshan town, raking in money every day. Even the combined earnings of the Magnolia Guild and the Sunset Guild could not match that of Yunxian restaurant. And now, not only had a new owner, that new owner was the infamous martial invalid of Qingshan town, Zhou Donghuang. That Master Du San gave Yunxian restaurant to that little b*** starred. When Patriarch Red Crane Wang of the Wang family heard of this, a look of fear flashed across his eyes. How did that little b** starred get involved with Master Du San? Chapter 12. The stage of Qi gathering was the starting point of martial arts practice. At this stage, one had to absorb the spirit of heaven and earth, assimilate it into the body, and convert it into Qi to store it in the meridians of the body. The meridians of the human body were initially very small and could only hold a small amount of Qi. If he wanted to accommodate more true Qi, he would have to cultivate his cultivation technique to further open up his meridians, making them bigger and wider. When the meridians had been expanded to a certain extent, the Qi accumulated would be able to burst forth with the strength of a bull, and one would be considered to have attained level 1 of Qi gathering. To become stronger, one had to further expand the meridians. So far, I have practiced for 5 days. Now, just the Qi accumulated in the meridians is enough to burst forth with the strength of half a bull. In one of the rooms of the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Donghuang, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed practicing, opened his eyes. I will need at most 5 days to successfully attain level 1 of Qi gathering and become a level 1 adept. Zhou Donghuang's eyes lit up at this thought. Today is the 20th day of the 12th month, 1227 of the Ziyun era. After removing yesterday's old calendar, Zhou Donghuang looked at the new page, and his pupils constricted. In his previous life, it was on this day that someone from the Lin family of the prefecture capital had come to announce the decision of the patriarch of the Lin family. In view of the fact that the Magnolia Guild had leaked the precious formula of the Lin family would no longer support the Magnolia Guild. At the same time, the guild master of the Magnolia Guild, Lin Lan, was expelled from the Lin family. Then, his mother, Lin Lan, died of anger. Young master. The Lin family of the prefecture capital has come. Zhou Donghuang's wandering thoughts were completely brought back to the present by Granny Lian's voice. Immediately, he left the room and walked to the drawing room with Granny Lian. Lin Lan, this is a letter from Fourth Elder. Just as the two of them reached the door of the drawing room, they heard a vigorous voice from within. In the drawing room, a middle-aged man dressed in a green robe, looking travel-worn, handed a sealed letter to Lin Lan. "Read this letter first, then I'll tell you about the Patriarch's decision on you. This is also what the fourth elder requested when he handed me the letter before I left. Come to think of it, you should thank fourth elder. If not for him, you would have been expelled from the Lin family," the middle-aged man said to Lin Lan after handing the letter to her. By the time Zhou Donghuang and Granny Lian entered the living room, Lin Lan had already finished reading the letter. Her expression turned ugly in an instant, and her body started to sway. "Mother! What happened?" Zhou Donghuang's expression changed, and he reached out to snatch the letter from Lin Lan's hand, but was stopped by Lin Lan. "Clan brother, I've finished reading the letter. Speak." Lin Lan took a deep breath and said to the middle-aged man, but her eyes were full of anger and unwillingness. In view of the fact that the Magnolia Guild leaked the formula for the blood-staunching elixir given by the family will no longer support the Magnolia Guild from now on. At the same time, we will withdraw the title deed to the Magnolia Guild. You have 3 days to vacate the Magnolia Guild. After 3 days, the family will send someone else to take over and establish a new guild. The middle-aged man said in a deep voice, "The Patriarch has decided that you, Lin Lan, are not allowed to step into the family again without being summoned by the family." At this point, the middle-aged man paused and shook his head. "Come to think of it, Lin Lan, your luck is not bad. Recently, fourth elder obtained an even better formula for blood-staunching elixir and handed it over to the family. It was because of this that the Patriarch did not expel you from the family. Otherwise, based on your mistakes, it would have been impossible for you not to be expelled from the family." As soon as the middle-aged man finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang's expression darkened, and a murderous glint flashed in his eyes as he clenched his fists tightly. He had guessed correctly. The fourth elder of the Lin family of the prefecture capital had indeed coveted the formula his mother had given him, but he had not kept it for himself, but had given it to the family in his name to gain credit and benefit. Granny Lian's expression changed as well. Just as she was about to say something, Lin Lan stopped her and stepped forward at the same time, saying to the middle-aged man, "Thank you, Patriarch, for your mercy." The middle-aged man nodded slightly and continued, "Next, I have to inform the level 2 brother stationed here that the family wishes to summon him back. The level 2 leader of the guards of the Magnolia Guild was a member of the family that the Lin family of the prefecture capital had sent to Qingshan town to guard the Magnolia Guild. Now that the Lin family no longer supported the Magnolia Guild, they naturally would not allow him to remain here." The middle-aged man left the drawing room as soon as he finished speaking. "Young lady, why didn't you tell him that the formula for the blood-staunching elixir that fourth elder handed over to the family was actually submitted by you?" Granny Lian stomped her feet in anger. If Lin Lan had not stopped her, she would have said it herself. Zhou Donghuang also looked at Lin Lan. The weak are no match for the strong. Lin Lan sighed with a bitter smile as she handed the letter in her hand to Granny Lian. Granny Lian opened it and read it, and her expression changed drastically. "Shameless. Too shameless. That Lin Tonghong deserves to die." Lin Tonghong was the fourth elder of the Lin family of the prefecture capital. Just then, Zhou Donghuang walked over to Granny Lian's side and finished reading the letter. "Lin Lan, I know that you have peeked at the formula of the blood-staunching elixir that I have obtained. That is the formula that I am going to hand over to the family. If you dare to spread it in private, even if you are not afraid of death, you should think about your son who is a martial arts invalid." Lin Tonghong's letter did not reveal that he had stolen Lin Lan's formula, nor did it serve to threaten her. It had to be said that this was a brilliant move. Using me to threaten my mother? Zhou Donghuang's lips curled up in a sinister smile as he laughed coldly to himself. "You, Lin Tonghong, if you hand over that formula to the Lin family will surely reward you handsomely. I'll let you be proud for a few more days, in a few days, I will personally go to the prefecture capital, visit the Lin family, and meet you, fourth elder of the Lin family. Zhou Donghuang knew that whatever he said to the Lin family now would be useless, because they would not believe him. Of course, he could write an even better formula for the blood-staunching elixir in front of them. But, what could he do? It would not prove that the fourth elder of the Lin family had stolen his formula. Besides, given Zhou Donghuang's character, he preferred to settle the scores himself when others owed him. Mother, don't worry. I will give you justice in this matter. Zhou Donghuang looked at Lin Lan, his expression serious as he promised. Donghuang, don't do anything foolish, remember, I only want you to be safe, nothing else is important. Lin Lan forced a smile and said to Zhou Donghuang, furthermore, Patriarch has not expelled me from the Lin family. Although he has taken away my right to return to the Lin family at any time, I am still a member of the Lin family. Zhou Donghuang knew that in this life, besides him and Chen Dandan, what his mother cared about most was her status as a member of the Lin family. Next was the Magnolia Guild. Not long ago, Chen Dandan's betrayal had broken his mother's heart. Now, what his mother cared about was his status as a member of the Lin family. In his previous life, his mother had committed suicide precisely because she had been expelled from the Lin family. And this time, his mother had not been expelled from the Lin family, so naturally she would not seek death like she had in his previous life. Mother, you and Granny Lien pack up these 2 days, in 2 days' time, we will go to Yunxian restaurant together. In Yunxian restaurant, besides the dining area at the front that is open to the public, there is a large courtyard at the back that is not open to the public. Zhao San used to live there, but now that he is gone, we can stay there. Zhou Donghuang said to Lin Lan. Yunxian restaurant, which Xiao San had given him, had become his next place to stay. This made Zhou Donghuang feel that his decision to treat Xiao San's chronic illness had been the right one. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten, my son is now the owner of Yunxian restaurant. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, Lin Lan smiled, and her originally listless gaze lit up. After the Lin family had left with the level 2 guard of the Magnolia Guild, Lin Lan gathered a group of servant girls and guards of the Magnolia Guild and asked if they were willing to follow her to Yunxian restaurant. If they were unwilling, they could take 3 months' salary and leave. Although the Magnolia Guild was about to become a thing of the past, Lin Lan did not lack this bit of money. Yunxian restaurant was the most profitable business in Qingshan town, and it was many times better than the Magnolia Guild. In the end, not a single servant girl or guard left, all of them willing to follow. This made Lin Lan feel much more gratified. At the same time, news of the Lin family of the prefecture capital's punishment of the Magnolia Guild gradually spread throughout Qingshan town. In an instant, the whole of Qingshan town knew that the Magnolia Guild was about to collapse. 3 days later, the Lin family of the prefecture capital would send someone to Qingshan town to establish a new guild. The Wang family mansion. In a spacious courtyard. Father, I have privately asked Chief Steward Li Xian of Yunxian restaurant. He said that Zhao San has nothing to do with that little brute Zhou Donghuang, and that Zhao San will not care whether Zhou Donghuang lives or dies. The reason he gave Yunxian restaurant to that little brute seems to be that the little brute did him a favor, and he is returning the favor. Night fell, and Red Crane Wang had just returned from outside when he went to look for his father, the previous chief of the Wang family, Wang Yukuan. Wang Yukuan was also the only level 2 adept of Qi gathering in the Wang family, and he had gone on a long journey some time ago and had only returned the night before. Now, the level 2 adept of the Magnolia Guild has been taken away by the Wang family of the prefecture capital, and that little brute Zhou Donghuang can only rely on Lin Lan and the old woman by her side. Just Lin Lan alone can be easily dealt with by second brother and I. The old woman by Lin Lan's side is also a level 1 adept of Qi gathering, and I will bring 2 level 1 elders to deal with her, Red Crane Wang explained his plan. I intend to bring some people over tomorrow. Father, you don't have to go, they are not worthy of you dealing with them. He did not mention Zhou Donghuang at all, as if Zhou Donghuang posed no threat to them, level 1 adepts of Qi gathering. Of course, this was also because Guild Master Hong Yu of the Sunset Guild cared about his reputation and did not spread the news that he had been defeated by Zhou Donghuang. Otherwise, Red Crane Wang would not have dared to ignore Zhou Donghuang like this. "I will bring Feng with you tomorrow." Wang Yuquan said coldly, "I will leave Lin Lan and the old woman to you, that little brute. I will personally capture him and let Feng kill him with my own hands." Chapter 13. Noon, December 21, 1227 of the Ziyun era. The 6 of them galloped out of the Wang family mansion on their tall horses, parading through the streets and heading straight for the Magnolia Guild. Finally, the 6 of them blocked the entrance of the Magnolia Guild on horseback, looking majestic and insufferably arrogant. Their leader was a well-built old man with a face full of white curly whiskers and a head full of short white hair, like a white-furred lion king. Behind the old man were a youth, 2 middle-aged men, and 2 old men, 1 fat and 1 thin. It's the Wang family. A crowd of onlookers had gathered outside, and many of them recognized the 6 people blocking the entrance of the Magnolia Guild. "Isn't that the patriarch of the Wang family, Red Crane Wang? He's actually following behind. Could that old man be the previous patriarch of the Wang family, the bloody-handed butcher, Wang Yuquan?" A passerby exclaimed as he stared wide-eyed at the old man leading the group. As soon as he spoke, the onlookers immediately became lively. "Wang Yuquan? The bloody-handed butcher who single-handedly wiped out a gang of 100 bandits? I heard that the leader of the bandits was infinitely close to level 2 of Qi gathering, and he had 5 deputy leaders who were level 1 of Qi gathering. The 6 of them ganged up on Wang Yuquan, but he killed them instead. Since then, Wang Yuquan has gained the nickname Bloody-Handed Butcher. My goodness! He rarely appears in front of people, but today, not only did he appear in front of people, he even blocked the entrance of the Magnolia Guild. It looks like he wants to avenge his grandson, Wang Feng. Isn't it obvious? Wang Feng, whose arm was maimed by Guild Master Lin Lan of the Magnolia Guild, is following behind him. The first young master of the Wang family, Wang Feng, followed behind Wang Yuquan, looking at the open entrance of the Magnolia Guild with a bloodthirsty look in his eyes. "Zhou Donghuang, you maimed my arm, and I'll make you pay with your life today." Wang Feng's heart was completely filled with hatred. Yesterday, the news of the Magnolia Guild losing the support of the Lin family of the prefecture capital had just spread, and today the Wang family is here to seek revenge. Looks like the son of Guild Master Lin Lan of the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Donghuang, is in for it today. I heard that the level 2 chief guard of the Magnolia Guild has already returned to the Lin family. Today, even if Wang Yuquan is not here, just the other members of the Wang family will be enough to wipe out the Magnolia Guild. Of course. Behind Wang Yuquan were the patriarch of the Wang family, Red Crane Wang, the second master of the Wang family, Bamboo Crane Wang, and the second and third elders of the Wang family. All 4 of them were level 1 adepts of Qi gathering. And the Magnolia Guild seems to only have 1 level 1 adept left, Lin Lan. I heard that the old lady beside President Lin Lan is also a level 1 adept. Even so, he would not be able to stand against the 4 level 1 adepts of the Wang family. Now, many onlookers were already observing a moment of silence for Zhou Donghuang. Isn't Zhou Donghuang the owner of Yunxian Restaurant now? That elder Xiaofan gave Yunxian Restaurant to him before he left, so he must be on good terms with him. Isn't the Wang family afraid that elder Xiaofan will find trouble with them? Do you think that the Wang family will not think of what you can think of? Since the Wang family dares to block the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild today, it means that Elder Xiaofan will definitely not help Zhou Donghuang. But I really don't know what Elder Xiaofan is thinking. Why would he give Yunxian Restaurant to Zhou Donghuang? That is the most profitable business in Qingshan town. Elder Xiaofan's thoughts are not something we can fathom. More and more onlookers gathered, and as the news spread, more and more people rushed over from all over Qingshan town. When the other two lesser families of Qingshan town received the news, as long as they had nothing important to do, they all rushed over to watch the commotion. The first young master of the Qin family, Qin Fei, also came after receiving the news. It looks like you, Zhou Donghuang, were just lucky to take over Yunxian restaurant. You don't have any close relationship with Elder Zhao San. Seeing that the Wang family had dared to block the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, it was not difficult for Qin Fei to guess, and he stood in the crowd, gloating. Qin Fei. At the same time, three figures appeared in front of Qin Fei. They were the first young master of the Zhong family, Zhong Gang, the second young master, Zhong Yi, and the third young mistress, Zhong Xiu. Evidently, they had all rushed over after receiving the news. What? All here to watch the show? Qin Fei asked with a smile. Ha, how could I miss such a good show? Zhong Yi laughed. That day, when I heard that Zhou Donghuang had become the owner of Yunxian restaurant, I thought that he had a close relationship with Elder Zhao San, but now it looks like I was overthinking. If he had a close relationship with Elder Zhao San, the Wang family would not have come to the Magnolia Guild with such fanfare. Zhong Gang also had a gloating expression on his face. 2 days ago, Zhou Donghuang was so smug at Yunxian restaurant. Today, I, Zhong Xiu, want to see how Zhou Donghuang will deal with this. Zhong Xiu laughed coldly. Even the Grand Patriarch of the Wang family, Wang Yukuan, has appeared. In my opinion, Zhou Donghuang will most likely not survive today. This bloody-handed butcher is famous for shielding his people. Qin Fei smiled brightly. But very quickly, the smile on his face disappeared. Because he saw a delicate and pretty girl of about 11 or 12 years of age walking towards him, holding the hand of a young man. Qin Fei abandoned the three Zhong siblings and went up to greet them. Xiaoyu, Uncle Zhen. The people that had arrived were none other than Qin Xiaoyu and her father, Qin Zhen. Qin Zhen was originally a collateral descendant of the Qin family who did not have much of a presence, but after breaking through to level 1 of Qi gathering a few years ago, he had become the 6th elder of the Qin family. In the 3 lesser families of Qingshan town, as long as a collateral descendant could break through to level 1 of Qi gathering and become a level 1 adept of Qi gathering, an exception would be made for him to be promoted to an elder of the family. First young master. Qin Zhen also greeted Qin Fei. As for Qin Xiaoyu, she only glanced at Qin Fei indifferently and did not greet him. The day before at Yunxian restaurant, Qin Fei had shed all pretense of cordiality with Zhou Donghuang, and she had been very displeased. Xiaoyu. Finally, it was under Qin Zhen's frowning reprimand that Qin Xiaoyu reluctantly greeted Qin Fei. After brushing off Qin Fei, Qin Xiaoyu looked at the group of people at the entrance of the Magnolia Guild, her face full of worry. Father, Big Brother Donghuang is now the owner of Yunxian restaurant, and the Wang family has come to make trouble for Big Brother Donghuang. Aren't they afraid that Elder Zhao San will hold them accountable? Xiaoyu. Before Qin Zhen could speak, Qin Fei had already said, since the Wang family dared to come, it means that they know that Elder Zhao San will not help Zhou Donghuang. Father, is this true? Hearing Qin Fei's words, Qin Xiaoyu looked at Qin Zhen even more worriedly, and when she saw Qin Zhen nod, her face immediately turned pale. Father, can you help Big Brother Donghuang? Qin Xiaoyu begged Qin Zhen. Xiaoyu, even if I want to help him, I am powerless. Among these 6 people of the Wang family, besides Wang Feng, I am no match for any of them. Qin Zhen smiled bitterly. Even among level 1 adepts, there were differences in ability. Big Brother Qin Fei, you must have a way, right? Qin Xiaoyu looked at Qin Fei again. For the sake of her big brother Donghuang, she no longer held a grudge against Qin Fei. She only wanted her big brother Donghuang to be safe. Xiaoyu, even the bloody-handed butcher of the Wang family is here. Unless my grandfather intervenes, no one can stop him. Qin Fei also shook his head with a bitter smile. And my grandfather will not offend the Wang family for the sake of Zhou Donghuang. Then, isn't there no hope for big brother Donghuang? Qin Xiaoyu's face was pale, and as she muttered to herself, she seemed to be in a daze. At that moment, there was an explosion of exclamations in the crowd. Someone is coming out. It's Guild Master Lin Lan of the Magnolia Guild. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, two figures walked out of the Magnolia Guild. One was an elegant and beautiful woman, and behind her was an old woman. It was Guild Master Lin Lan of the Magnolia Guild, and beside her was Granny Lien. Father, she is the Guild Master of the Magnolia Guild, Lin Lan. As Lin Lan walked out with Granny Lien, Red Crane Wang, the patriarch of the Wang family, said to Wang Yuquan, who was leading the way. Wang Yuquan had long since retired to the background and had not had any contact with Lin Lan, the Guild Master of the Magnolia Guild who had just arrived in Qingshan town 10 years ago. You are Lin Lan? Wang Yuquan looked Lin Lan up and down coldly. Today, I am not here to look for you. Where is your son Zhou Donghuang? Get him out here. Lin Lan greets Patriarch Wang. Lin Lan stood not far from Wang Yuquan and bowed slightly. She continued, Patriarch Wang, you are a senior and must be more understanding. My son Zhou Donghuang was bullied by your grandson Wang Feng every other day, but he never mentioned it to me, his mother. A few days ago, it was your grandson Wang Feng who provoked him first, and that was why he accidentally crippled Wang Feng's arm. If Patriarch Wang does not believe me, you can ask those who were present at the time. Before Lin Lan could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by Wang Yuquan. Don't talk nonsense with me. Whether it's right or wrong, it's up to me. Today, if I say he's in the wrong, then he's in the wrong. Get him out here quickly, or don't blame me for being rude. As Wang Yuquan finished speaking, he looked at Lin Lan with a cold, murderous look in his eyes. Domineering. Too domineering. At this moment, the onlookers felt their hearts tremble as they felt that Wang Yuquan was too domineering. But they were also clear, Wang Yuquan had the right to be domineering. He was a level 2 adept of Qi gathering, and in Qingshan town, there were few people who could stand up to him as an equal, but none who could overpower him. Patriarch Wang, since you feel that my son is in the wrong, then he is in the wrong, but my son's fault is purely because I, as his mother, did not teach him well. As Lin Lan said this, she suppressed the humiliation and anger in her eyes as she gritted her teeth. So, whatever his fault, let me bear it as his mother. Kill or plunder, as you wish. Now, Lin Lan only had one thought, and that was to protect her son, Zhou Donghuang, even if it meant sacrificing her own life. At this moment, the eyes of many onlookers moistened. President Lin Lan seems to be Zhou Donghuang's adoptive mother. In order to protect an adopted son, she did not hesitate to sacrifice herself. She is indeed a role model for a mother. Many onlookers sighed, but they only dared to sigh softly, for fear of offending the Wang family. Anti-Lin Lan. Tears streamed down Qin Xiaoyu's face. Ha 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 ha, Wang Yuquan laughed loudly as he jumped off his horse, and only stopped after he landed. How touching. In that case, I'll give you, Lin Lan, a chance. As long as you can take 3 blows from me without dying, I'll spare your son's life today. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.